I met a gypsy.
Now, if you've been following the podcast recently, you would know that we're on a massive health kick as we get ready to take on World Vets at Glen Helen in November of 2023. Athletic Greens is not only an all-in-one formula that helps me just cover all my nutritional bases, it's also the first healthy habit that I have that starts every single day. AG1 is packed with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients of the highest quality that are able to offer gut health support, mood support, can affect your energy each day, and contribute to overall healthier looking hair and skin. So what's well, wait till we're rolling and we'll just fucking, we're good on this. And once Anthony tells us we're good.
Do you need to know any facts about me?
No, I mean I've watched a bunch of shit. Like, fuck, dude, I first started following you when maybe the first like No Jumper interview that you did, because I've been following Adam 22 for. Yeah, oh, really?
That's like my least favorite ever interview.
Why is that?
It was my first ever interview, and I just made social media. I didn't even know what No Jumper was. Me and Adam are boys through BMX. So when he, like, Catfish, who's my best friend, was like, we're at a jam with Adam in LA, and he's like, yo, you should talk to Adam about going on a show. And I'm like, oh, he has a show? And he goes, well, it's like a radio show on like the internet. Catfish helped me create social media, so he knows that I know nothing. He's like, yeah, it's like a radio show. You just like do interviews, whatever. And I was thinking, I hadn't understand. I kind of believed that I was going to blow up on the internet, right? And everyone around me knew it also. So I swear to God, I thought I was doing Adam a favor by saying like, hey, do you want to do my first interview? Because it'll be big for you. I swear to God, I thought that. So he's like, all right, come on the show. So I came on not knowing how big he was. I was not PR trained. I didn't know anything. And I didn't have self-control. So I told Adam before the interview, like we were on the phone, I was like, yo, you know, like my whole life, I want you to pick one category, and that's the only thing you can ask me about. He goes, I just want to ask about gambling. I said, fine. He ended up asking me everything about everything, and I didn't have like the wherewithal to tell him, hey, bro, I don't want to talk about anything other than this. So I put all this information out there, and I put it all out there in a way that's even hard to like believe. And it had so much like backlash and like challenging to navigate that I spent the rest of like my career, like we call it for like the 18 months after that, while getting famous, only fighting naysayers. So I felt like instead of building, I was like proving the things I had already done. And like and I looked, you know, like I didn't know what it was, bro. I swear to God, I thought I was helping him. Swear. Ask Catfish, bro. If you know Catfish, just ask him.
Dude, that's fucking funny. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy with Adam 22. Like I started watching his shit like years and years, like when he was in the store on like Melrose, I'm pretty sure, like the original one when it was like he had the BMX shop in the front and shit. Yeah, and then and it's crazy because like I started a fucking motocross website back in like 2007, before YouTube, before all that shit. And he did, was it, what was the name of his fucking BMX website?
SHIT.
Yeah, but no, there was it was like, it wasn't We the People, that was like a black brand. But anyway, so he like, it was just a lot of parallels between him and my career. And I was like, oh, this guy's fucking cool. It's crazy to see what he's built, man. Like that shit is fucking massive now.
Yeah. And I didn't know any of that. I just knew him like in person. First time we met, I didn't even know like, bro, he's just like another guy I just met at like a BMX jam. Like, bro, I met 1,000 people. Like, you know, he gave me a Kadoku. What's that ball stick game?
Yeah.
Gave me one of those. Kadama. Yeah, he gave me one of those, and I was like, this is gay. Like, you do this for fun, you know? I was like, this is nerdy.
Oh, love it. What was the deal with you? Like, you never had social media. You never did the Instagram thing. Like, you literally just decided, like, you know what? I'm gonna get a piece of this internet ass, and I've got some, because you're a fucking cool cat. You're a very unique cat. So like, you just literally thought, you're like, oh man, I could fucking do the internet thing.
Well, nah, I was so resistant, bro. Like, bro, I lived like anonymously and mysteriously or whatever my entire life. I was like a devoted a nom in this world. You know what I mean? Like, I am staying off grid. You'll never know anything about you'll never know me, right? So we're like at the peak of COVID. I'm being banned from the casinos. The casinos are shut down at this exact moment, but it all happened like kind of at the same time, right? I'm starting to be banned. I did all these I made all this crazy money. I did all these crazy like experiences, like parties and PJs and BJs and blah blah blah. And we're at the peak of COVID. And I remember I flew to New York to help my parents move to their new spot. Like, I had a spot on the Hudson River. They lived like out in the boons in Jersey, and it was too hard on my mom. So I moved her to a high rise, and I spent a couple weeks there just helping them. And I was so bored. I had no friends there, no girls, no nothing. COVID, everything's closed. And I'm texting with all the casino executives and the owners and stuff. And I'm like, bro, the casino's ever gonna open? Like, give me a timeline. I'm gonna kill myself with boredom. And they just kept saying, like, start Instagram, bro. They're like, most people will never know your lifestyle exists, and the ones that do are like old billionaires that aren't even like utilizing like the coolness of what you got at your fingers. They go, don't you think everybody would find what you do entertaining? Like, they don't even know this life exists. And I was like, absolutely not. I was like, it doesn't help me. I was like, what is it gonna do? They're like, who knows, but it'll be fun and it'll keep you out of being bored. You know, it'll be exciting during the pandemic. Finally, every day they kept like pushing me. One day I was like, oh, whatever, man. And I remember his name is Elijah, and he worked the front desk at Nomad. He was the last person to text me and just say, bro, start an Instagram. And that was it. I started it. And then Vegas loosened up pretty quickly on its COVID rules. The casinos were still shut down, but they were like pretty chilling. So I fly back to the West Coast. I go to Vegas, and that's where like I was in with Catfish and like all of them. And they were immediately like, did you finally start social media? And I was like, yeah. They're like, we're going to help blow this up.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So just who's Catfish? Sorry, just to get context.
Okay. So Catfish is a pro BMXer. He's an old head now. Pro BMXer. He started No Jumper with Adam. They were roommates. He's the Nitro Circus announcer, the X Games announcer, the Olympics announcer. He's the flat ground guy. He's short. He's got a ponytail.
Catfish. Is it? What's his Instagram? I'm just gonna look.
Catfish. It goes Catfish and then VS. Oh, just V. Catfish V Thug. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna follow him right now. I'm sure I've seen him because I'm always at the like nitros and shit like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, dude. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. We're on the same. I was like, I feel like I would know who this is. Yeah.
Yeah. You know Micah? You know Micah is?
Nah.
He's a bigger guy. He's heavy. He's also the announcer at like all the Supercross races, all that. Him and Catfish have the same job. Catfish brought him into Nitro, got him into announcing. Okay. Yeah, anyway, Catfish have been around. Yeah.
So what was your reasons for not being on social media? Because I get it. Like, and even though I do this and we obviously go out to a bunch of different people, like I'm fairly private about my shit. So I guess I can understand. But what were your reasons for like not wanting any of that fame?
Well, when I was young, I was a criminal. I was like a drug dealer and a pimp and like an arms dealer and, you know, and committing crimes and whatever. And I was like gangbanging, and there's definitely none of that should ever be on the internet. Like you know what I'm saying? If you're a criminal, how are you going to post about the crimes you're committing? Like, obviously.
Hey, it doesn't stop a bunch of those fucking idiots these days.
Idiots though. Yeah, I agree. But, you know, so for me, I lived very strict. I was like, I'm a gangster. Like, I'm going to live like by the code. I'm going to be anonymous. You're not going to know my name, my number, nothing, you know? And then even after I stopped doing that, I was just so like embedded in this concept of like stay in your lane, mind your business. If there's a fist fight happening in the seat next to me, as long as they don't hit me, I'm not even looking, you know? And I lived like that like for a long time. And even when I like went legit and like started businesses and like straightened out my life, whatever, I was just like right here at all times, stayed in my lane, and it worked for me.
Yeah. And then I guess what is to go from that then to the being like relatively famous on the internet? Well, I mean, yeah, like you've got fucking literally millions and millions and millions of views and shit that you're in. Like,
I got
what's
a billion
that
views on the
juxtaposition
internet.
like?
I have a billion views on the internet. Yeah. It's been crazy, bro, because I'm just like some dude. Like anytime I leave the house, anywhere I go, I'm taking photos, right? Lunch, gas station, whatever. I'm taking photos every step of the way. And to me, it's so humbling when someone asks me for a photo, because I'm literally like just some dude, bro. I'm just some guy. I like riding dirt bikes. I like go-karting. I like playing Connect 4. and I play cards. You know what I mean? And it's really fun. And anyone, a lot of people say, like, what's it like being famous? And like, oh, fame sucks, and screw you fans, leave me alone. I don't know. I think they're acting, bro. How can this not be cool? This is fun, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. There's definitely, I think about it all the time. Like there would be a level of fame that would be quite undesirable. Like I don't think anybody could deny that, like in my lane, right? There's places I have like pockets of fame. Like if I go to a Supercross race, I'm as famous there as anybody that's there. But if I go to a fucking random Walmart in Kansas City, like, no, it's very rare. You know what I mean? So like, but then if you talk about the perks of that, well, Supercross is where I like to be. Like, I like going to those races. I can get the tickets. I can fucking have my friends. Yeah. So like, there's perks to fame in a certain level. So yeah, I think, and when people come up to me and want photos and shit, I think it's fucking rad. But so there would be a level of fame, like Joe Rogan level of fame, where you've got security with you at all times. You can't take a commercial flight. That there would be a level of restriction that would come from fame.
Yeah, but I think when you reach that level of fame, the other perks sort of outweigh it. Like, for example, Joe Rogan is so goddamn filthy rich that he's like, oh, I just signed a $400 million deal with Spotify. It's a shame I got to spend $4,000 this week on security. Like,
well, dude,
I got to spend $15K on a PJ,
Yeah. I just think like the logistics of it, but again, you're just paying people for the logistics. But I just think like the anonymous, like being able to go, oh, there's a new restaurant in town. Like you don't have to organize to close that bitch down but yeah, you're right. Like I think that the perks definitely outweigh it. It's just, it's so interesting too, like that. And I mean, you'd probably be able to speak on this. Like before you had any like status social, because that's what you've got like money as a currency, and then you've got status as a currency. And it's quite interesting. Like I've been in situations where there's like really rich guys there, right? And then there's there's like a group of people that would have like a certain level of social status. Let's just say credits, right? So you've got like money credits and then social credits. The girls were more interested in the people with the social credits more than the money credits. So like fame is, I think that's why people get famous, is because social credits are actually worth more in people's eyes than monetary credits a lot of times.
I think they're more enjoyable. I'll give you an example. Last weekend, Steve Will Do It calls me on Thursday night, and he goes, hey, bro, can you get to Vegas in the morning? I want to live stream us gambling in a casino, right? I'm like, all right, cool. So I go, and I call Bryce Hall, who's a good friend of mine. I said, Bryce, are you in Vegas? He goes, yeah. I said, you want to do this live stream with us? He goes, yeah, I'll come hang out. So we spent the whole day with, like, Dana White, Steve-O, Steve Will Do It, Bryce, Nate Wyatt, like all of us, like, with I mean, we have both types of credits, but this was based on the status credits. Yeah. And we spent the whole day live streaming, like really cool stuff. And then Bryce says to me, he goes, hey, bro, the owner of EDC saw we're together. He offered you owner wristbands for EDC, right? And I never been to a festival, and I hate electronic music. And he's like, you can't really turn it down. It's the owner. It's like polite. You got to accept. I'm like, all right, only if I come with you. He goes, of course. I'm in the owner's section, right? There's like a special stage where like the owner and like the owners all groups, right? There's like multiple little sections on this stage or whatever. It was so much fun to run, and there's other people that are rich there that are just like rich and like that's it. It was fun to run around, all the girls. We can get access to anything just based on social. And the thing is, all of us could have bought those same tickets, but because the owner gave it to us because of our status credits, we were able to utilize them in such a fun way. Like, we'll never get thrown out because the owner personally invited us. He'll change the rules for us. We can have access to anybody, anything, any place. Like, the rules were made around us, and that was the status.
And so you've noticed that change from being this anonymous guy that was still doing the same shit, still living the same life, still had the same tattoos, like you were the same fucking guy, but and living in anonymity. to then being like this internet personality and you're rubbing shoulders with these people. Like you can literally notice a difference of how the world treats you based off fame.
100%. Because one, you're buying your way in, the other people are buying you in. You know, they're paying you to come. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a huge difference in the dynamic.
Yeah, no, I feel it, and it's just crazy to, because I always found fame very interesting, and I think because like my early career of filming, like I was never in front of a camera until I started doing this, so I was always behind a camera, and who are you pointing it at? You're pointing it at famous people, and I always just found it so fascinating to just watch these dudes move, or these like just see how their life was and how it affected some people differently from other people's. It's such like an interesting thing. And then I think that once you kind of are in a position where people do like know about you and you see the benefits of that, and you know sometimes the negatives too, like that's obviously why people try and get famous even if they're rich, you know.
Bro, if the perks of the status credits weren't worth it, nobody would have ever have tried to be famous. Nobody would ever look at something and be like, oh, that's what I want, if it was bad. You know, like there's a reason. No, it's true. So let's talk a bit about how we started this conversation. Obviously, we're doing the fucking podcast at this point. Are we live right now? Are we recording?
Yeah, we've been rolling.
I didn't even know. All right, sick. Let's go.
That's how we do it. So how we started this, you hit me up. So it's actually kind of a cool story. I've been following you since that No Jumper interview, and then I was in Dubai and I'm sitting down like going through Instagram. I'm like trying to message some people I want to come on the podcast. Click into your profile and see that you sent me a message and I missed it by like 7 months, and I was like, fuck, are you serious? I can't believe I missed this message. And then we start talking and you're like, yeah, dude, I'm a full fucking moto head. Like I was in Mini Warriors and just started like reeling out all this moto shit. I was like, holy fuck, that's actually insanely legit. And then obviously it's been a little bit to schedule. That was probably like 4 months ago, but we're here now and we're fucking doing it. I'm pumped.
Happy to be here.
So let's talk about your early moto days then. Let's like lay the context of moto, because I feel like other interviews you've done, you haven't been able to go into as meta detail as what we could probably do here.
Yeah, which I'm really happy to do, by the way, because that's like really who I am. I've said this before in interviews. If I could start all over again, I would never talk about gambling and money. I literally just want to be funny on the internet. Like that would be like a life goal of mine, to be funny on the internet and just show who I really am. And like the money and the gambling and stuff, it's like kind of, I don't know. I think it's like corny. Like, I don't know. People like it. They eat it up, but like, I don't know, man. This is where I want to be. Dirt biking is who I am, bro. That's me. And it's funny that when I messaged you like 7 months before you seen it, it's because I thought that you had messaged me, right? Oh. So I did an interview, I think on the Good Dudes channel, which is Temecula, like
yeah.
And I think that like around that era was like the first time publicly my history with like moto and all these other action sports started coming out. So when that started coming out, all these people from like the industry or whatever started contacting me like, oh, I remember you. Oh, we used to race. Or, oh, like, can you come talk about you or whatever? Yeah. And I was like, Gypsy Tales, they're like the tops. Like, I love Gypsy Tales. I'm a fan. And so for some reason, I thought that you had been one of the people reaching out to me. So I was like, wait a second, did I miss their message? And I go back in, there was nothing there. And I asked you, I was like, hey, bro, by any chance, did you message and like unsend? Because I could have sworn you had tried to be, I thought you were one of the people that hit me up about it. But you want me to go from the beginning?
Yeah, what was your, so from what I gathered doing my own research, your dad was just like a stock car, like a motorcycle drag racer. Yeah. Pretty fucking dope. And then so from like Jersey, like that where you're from. So that's like Barsha, like fucking Jimmy Dakota. So like that's that era. And how old are you? Like, or do you say how old you are?
I've never said how old I was. I'll tell you the era though.
Okay, yeah.
Since I was like a super child, my racing partners were Jason Lawrence, Davey Millsaps, the Alessi brothers, Frankie Lettieri, Lowell Spangler, Garrett Tosh, Sean Hackley, both the Stewarts, but Malcolm was more times than not the one that was in the correct classes, because they're so like age specific when you're young. Me and Malcolm used to really battle hard as kids, so like that's like my era.
That's your era. That's my fucking era too, brother.
Yeah, gang.
So what, like, your dad obviously gets you into racing, or like you've been around motorcycles from a kid. What did like those early years of moto look like to you?
Yeah, so my dad was a pro stock bike racer, and he did that before I was born, and he did that for like the first 1 or 2 years of my life, and then he crashed. So he went through the quarter mile, he hit his front brakes, went over the bars, broke his ankle, surgery, they put screws in and all that, and he was just like, between business and racing and having a newborn, and my brother was on the way, he's like, I quit. Yeah. So I grew up as like a baby. My dad was a builder, so it was always like land and like whatever, and he had dirt bikes, like big wheels and whatever. And as like a literal infant, like 6 months old or whatever, he'd sit me on the bike with my diaper, put little goggles on me, and we'd just ride around. And apparently it was like my favorite thing in the world to do as like a baby. So I learned how to ride a bicycle with no training wheels really young. I think I was something like I want to say like 2 or 3. Like I learned super young, and my dad taught me in a really cool way that I'm going to use on my kid. Anyway, as soon as I can go no training wheels, he bought me a PW50, and I entered my first race. It was a hare scramble. I think it was in Pennsylvania. I have a photo. I was just like love at that point. Pretty quickly, he got me, I think it was like one of the little Cobras. I raced a little Cobra. This is when Bud, the owner of Cobra, first came out with the Cobra. So he first developed the company. And my dad got his hands on a little Cobra, and I started racing. And I think just because of the area we were in, the only other kids racing that age were all the kids basically that went on to be pro, like everyone that we're naming, Yeah. So since I was called 3 years old, my first race, since then I've grew up as a child racing every weekend with all those kids from the tri-state area that went on and are still currently racing pro, So pretty quickly I developed like good riding, like I was like winning or whatever, but we were just like babies. Like I didn't even know if I won or not. Like I didn't even think about it. I was just so young. Yeah. Started training and practicing, and then it became a full-time gig. I was, I don't know, something in that range of like, I don't want to misspeak, but something like around 6 years old, I started training. We would train and practice like 5 days a week, spend a full day traveling, race one, fly home in time for school, and then keep doing that. So like every day after school, whatever, we had coaches and training, went to all these private tracks. And it was like the group of us. It was like the core group was like me, Jett Lawrence, Frankie Lettieri, Lowell Spangler, Yeah. And I just was winning. We were all winning though, they all went on to be some of the greats, and the Alessis and Davey Millsaps and what have you, the Stewarts. And that's it. Then I remember I was there for Eli Tomac's like debut like amateur race as a kid, and it was in Vegas, and he won, and it was like a big deal. He came on Little Cobras and just dominated.
Dude,
and
I remember.
Yeah, I was there, bro, and that's when we started filming Mini Warriors. And the cameraman, I forget his name. He was like kind of a young guy.
Malcom Stewart?
No, it wasn't. He's in them, but he wasn't the filmer. There's like an actual guy. Okay. Yeah, he was like this chubby kid. He took a hold of a few of us. Like Malcolm, he took a hold of. Me, he took a hold of, and a few other characters. And he like really focused a lot of the film around some of us, and then like filled it with just racing and riding. Yeah. So I had been in Mini Warriors, and then I think it was I forget which one, but then he had continued just to put me in all the Mini Warriors. Like when you roll credits at one of them, it's just me with my name, and it's me interviewing Nico Izzi after he won some race in Vegas, and like so like I got like a lot of like attention and credits or whatever through the Mini Warriors films. I won the Mini O's, race Loretta's every year. First time I met Pastrana actually was his last year ever racing at Loretta's. First time I met him, I was pretty young.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sick. So that whole era, so you're doing that, right? And I'm a kid in a tiny town in Australia that would get those DVD or like VHS tapes back
VHSs,
then.
Yeah.
I would get them on VHS, like probably a year after they actually happened. And me and my brother and like 3 of my friends that were into dirt bikes would just watch those tapes all fucking night, every single night. And then we'd spend the rest of our time riding dirt bikes and BMX and shit. So like Mini Warriors was literally like the soundtrack, the fucking video track. Like that was everything. Like Mini Warriors, Krusty's,
Krusty.
Terra Firma, like that whole deal. Like that was just, that literally fucking raised me, bro.
Me too. Me too. That's why I think to this day, when you play The Offspring, the only thing I can think of is riding dirt bikes. It's the only thing I can think of. And to this day, I love The Offspring. And I think it's because of those Mini Warriors movies.
Dude, we talk about it all the time, eh? Like, music that was in those films just completely shaped my entire music taste. They shaped the parties I went to. It's fucking mental the way that those kind of films can impact you at such a young age and just like kind of steer you in a direction. Like BMX, fucking mountain bikes, like just the whole like action sports, those parties, those types of fucking, that scene, those girls, like the whole deal.
You know, it's so funny because at that era, which is like late 90s, early 2000s, there was no, Mini Warriors was the first moto racing movie that ever existed, you know, and then they came out with like 11 or 13 of them or something. So it was like literally like for kids like us, it was our holy grail. It was the only thing in existence that gave us some picture of what we were even doing outside of us.
Oh man, 100%. So what, like, how far did you kind of take racing, and when did you like? Because like you said, the kids that you grew up with, they kind of went pro, and you're in all that shit. Like, I mean, I've gone back and watched all of those videos. You know, like the pictures where you fucking sending me all the different things. Like, you were there with those dudes. Like, you had to be on a certain level to be in that crowd. And like, when did you start kind of like veering out of that scene?
So this is kind of what happened, which is a little bit unfortunate, but because I was so young, my first race I was 3, and moving forward I had never not raced. I never took a step back. It's the only thing I knew. Like all of us as kids, it's all we ever knew. I actually had no idea that I was as good as I was. I didn't realize I was winning. I didn't realize what it meant to be in the movies. It's just what I did. Like my mom woke me up. She said, all right, time to get on a plane. I got on a plane. I landed. There'd be a coach there with bikes there. You know, I had a free ride with Cobra. I had a free ride with Cowie, free ride with KTM, free ride with Suzuki as I went through the ranks, right? So to me, there was just like always a bike there. There was always fresh gear there. That's it. So I got really burnt out, and I had no idea the kind of, I didn't realize like that I was in it like that. I didn't know. And I was burnt out. I was constantly getting hurt, bro. I broke so many bones. I got my collar. I got 2 broken collarbones right now. My bone's actually sticking out. I'm about to get surgery. But I was always hurt, and I was young, and I was burnt out. And like I saw like the kids in school, like being normal kids, like basketball games and weekend parties and drinking beer or whatever. And I just wanted that so bad. But it's always like the grass is greener on the other side type attitude. And so I started fighting with my parents so much. I was like, I don't want to ride. I don't want to train. I don't want to practice. I don't want to travel. Like, I don't want to do it. And like any moments of spare time I had when I was home, I wrestled also. And I was like kind of an accomplished wrestler. So like, I'd won the state championship in New Jersey in Greco-Roman. The same year I got 3rd in freestyle. And like, I was pretty good. And so it was like I had 0 time to just be a kid or anything like that. I was either out from both sports with injury, or I was fully training and practicing both sports. And you know, I don't know, it just was a lot. So I just quit.
Wrestling, so like I do jiu-jitsu, and fuck man, it's just like the average person would just have no idea how fucking gnarly it is on your body. Like you're just walking around every day sore as fuck. Yeah. And always cutting weight, and I just was always weak. I was weak on the bike a lot. I got arm pump a lot because I was always cutting weight in wrestling, and it was just too much, bro. I was doing like 2 like fully immersive full-time sports, and I was competing at both of them at the highest levels, and I really just wanted to be a kid, bro. I was so young. Like I just wanted to be a kid. You know, I remember though, so when I won the state championship in Greco-Roman, right?
I remembered that my parents didn't even go. They didn't take me there or nothing. I went with some of my other some of the other buddies I had from the wrestling club I was in. A lot of us made it to States that year, and I just rode with one of their parents. And not that my parents weren't around, not like that, because they were fully around. It was just like they also couldn't keep up. It was like a lot on them, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, they decided they had to pick and choose. They're like, we're going to just do full moto. Like, good luck on your wrestling career. Have fun, you know? And I won States. And then I remember it was the same year that I got third in States in freestyle. And again, it was the same deal. I just went with the wrestling club. And I came home and I was like, Mom, I won. And she was like, congrats. You're not hurt, right? Because we have to train tomorrow. And I was like, all right, you know. I was just burnt. I quit both like at the same time. And then... yeah, so I took 1 year off, me and my brother, because he rode moto too. We took 1 year off, and my dad had this fear that if we didn't do this family-oriented sport, that like we'd go down a bad path. So a year goes by, and he goes, "We have to do something. Do you want to race like I forget what they're like shifter carts or like you know like go karts that train you for Formula One?" So he's like, "Do you want to take the path towards Formula One, or do you want to take the path in the NHRA and ITRA and go drag racing?" The truth is, I didn't even really know the difference. I was like, I wasn't really into either of them. And I said, I want to drag race. My brother said, no, I want to go towards Formula One. But my dad, being a retired pro stock bike racer, he goes, we're going to keep drag racing. Because my dad was biased. So we started drag racing. And I won a few national championships, a world record. And like I excelled there as well. But I think that was, I think it sounds bigger than it really is to like excel at that era in drag race.
Yeah, it's such like a...
yeah, it's not as glamorous. Like a viewer might look at this and be like, wow, he did so many things at the drag racing one. Even like the wrestling one, I feel like really this was like about moto. Moto was my life.
Yeah. And like, so did you just stop riding completely, or you'd still ride for fun, or?
Nah, I completely like, because I dove so hard into like trying to have a social life. And then maybe like few years goes by. How many years? I'm gonna make this up and say like 6-7 years go by, and my best friend, he bought a dirt bike, and he's like, I know you ride, like, do you want to ride my bike? And I got on it, and immediately I was back, you know, like ripping. He had a what do you get? I got like a Suzuki, like an RM125. I just hopped on that thing and just just ripping, and I felt so good, and I was like, all right, I think I'm gonna come back. And I got my own RM125, rode it a little bit. Then I got in like trouble in my own life. I was like kind of like a bad kid, you know, whatever, and that derailed. And then I didn't get back into moto until about 2 years ago. I attend all the Supercross races whenever they're in my city, and now I live in LA, so like A1, A2, San Diego, all that's there. And I started attending, and I linked up with Shane Davis, and I was being invited to Travis Pastrana's Pit Bike Championship, but I hadn't touched a bike in, you know, like how many, like a decade. I haven't touched a bike or whatever. So I'm linked with Shane, who's like pit bike, you know, god. And he's like, I got an extra bedroom in my house. If you want to come, you can rip up all my pit bikes and ride with us. We ride every day. And I was like, bet. And then that's when I got back into moto, which was about 2 years ago, big bikes and pit bikes. And that's when it all started coming out that I had this history or this background with moto.
Yeah. That's super cool, man. I'm glad you kind of like found your way back to riding too, you know, like I had a period of, we never raced that serious, like where, well, I guess like it was serious racing, but we were like so far away. Like it's so small, and you know, like we're from a fucking small town. But I had a friend pass away, and then that kind of fucked me riding for like probably 7 or 8 years until I could like finally get my head around it. But yeah, like I'm just back in love with riding literally more than I ever have been in my entire life, you know, like it just, once it's in you, it just doesn't fucking leave.
Yeah. I love riding. I haven't rode since my collarbone. I'm lying. I think I did. I think I rode pit bikes once. I did ride pit bikes once. But after I get the surgery, I'm going to keep riding. Like I got to slow down a little, bro. You know, I'm not competing for anything, so I got to chill out and just enjoy it.
Yeah. Dude, I'm stoked to ride with you because I'm racing World Vets at the end of the year.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go. I'll be there, bro. I'm gonna come support.
Dude, 5th of November. So I need a fucking training buddy, bro. So if you want to get back on the program, that Thursday Glen Helen vibe, just fucking fly in on a jet to be there. I'll take your bike.
Yeah, I'll be there 100%. I just went to Glen Helen. Jackson from Temecula. He's in what's his series called? He does the whatever. He's racing. I forget what it's called. The series he's in.
Yeah,
it's not enduro, but it's something else, outdoor. Something. Whatever.
They seem like pretty cool dudes, huh?
Yeah, they're super fire. They're super dope guys. Yeah, you watch them ride pit bikes?
Not really. Like, I honestly don't watch that. I'm like full moto nerd, bro. Like, I'm just watching whatever raw video of the top boys riding so that I can like try and like rub a little bit of that onto my own life, you know?
Buddy, I'm telling you right now, you're missing out. You gotta watch these guys on pit bikes, bro. Oh, I don't even know where to start. Like, I don't want to, you know, I can do a whole interview just talking about them. Send it is an understatement. The guys who send it wish they could even like touch the level these kids are on. Bro, they're doing flares at, I don't know if you saw the video at Jared McNeil's house. Shane sent a flare on the 110 and bent the handlebars with his body when he landed.
No shit.
Bro, it's out of control. So he did a step-up contest on a pit bike, and he doesn't know how to straight air. He only knows how to backflip. So he's launching and winning the step-up contest, and it's like a 2004 X Games step-up setup, right? It's like that. It's like just like a quarter pipe backed up to the dirt landing with a pole, and he's just backflipping it like natural. Like, these dudes are out of control, both of them. The whole little squad over there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've watched some of their like YouTube videos and shit. Like, it looks like they're living a fucking pretty cool life.
Yeah.
It's crazy too, because like just that shit only flies in America. Like, there's no one in Oz doing anything. Like, it's such. I don't even think Americans realize how fucking weird America is.
I never thought about it.
Like, you're the only ones that can just do that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. They do it, and I gotta give them a lot of credit. They fully helped train. I raced in the Pastrana pit bike race last summer, and they fully like got me from not touching a bike in like a decade to like competing. Like, I was like, you know, really out there. And I want to give like another special thank you to Jared McNeil for that. He trained me a lot. The Palmer brothers, Twitch let me tear up his track at his house a bit. I know I'm missing people. Oh, of course, Caleb Tennant. You know who Caleb Tennant is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my dog, man. He actually donated his 110 to me for the whole summer just to train on that bike. I thrashed this thing. I don't know if you ever saw, there's some super viral clips, like World Star reposted them, of K-Camp and James Earl, right? So he's the boxer out of San Diego and K-Camp the rapper. I brought them to the Temecula house, and then we all mobbed to McNeil's house to ride pit bikes. And these two dudes, a rapper and an undefeated pro boxer, sent these pit bikes harder than some pit bike riders do. Like metal, like ramp to dirt, bro, insane. And that was all on Caleb's bike, so special thank you to him.
Dude, that's fucking so sick. Yeah, McNeil's a really cool motherfucker. I think he's actually on the podcast next week too. Really?
That's my boy. I just was out in Arizona for his and Kelsey's wedding.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. I'm real close with them. Yeah, he helps me a lot.
Yeah, he's a fucking good dude. Man, he had maybe one of the best motocross races. Like, he literally got famous off one moto. So it was at like our version of the Loretta Lynn's Nationals, right? And it's Ty Simmons. So Ty Simmons was like KTM, Motor X, factory bike since he was a kid, which like in Australia, that's not super common, you know? Like, he was like a Loretta's amateur kind of kid, but in Australia when no one else really was. And there was a last moto for like the 250A title, and him and McNeil just battled, dude. Like, absolutely sending it. Roughest fucking, it's a sand track too. Like, roughest, gnarliest sand track in Australia. And coming down the finish line, man, just a fucking drag race to this finish line tabletop. And McNeil beats him by like 0.003 of a fucking second to win the Australian title. Literally got famous off one race. No one knew who he was.
He's such a sicko. I'll go to his house just for him to watch him ride his facility. I mean, it's so gnarly, bro. He's sick, and he's such a great guy.
Very, very, very nice guy. You won't
Yeah.
meet many more like down to earth dudes than him.
Yeah. Except he has this one pet peeve that drives me crazy, but I do understand it. If you go to his house, you cannot ride or walk anywhere that's not designated to ride or walk. If you like touch a one blade of grass, bro, he'll lose his mind. But I get it. You know, it's just funny to see him in action. And he's always wearing a cowboy boots and a helmet. It's just funny, man.
Oh, I fucking love it. What do you have a big bike right now? Or like, you gonna get a big bike again? What would you get?
I don't want to give free promo, but maybe this will land me a sponsorship. I would get a 350 Husky.
My G. Yeah. That's 350, baby. My boy gets it.
Yeah.
I'll send you a video we just did. I just did like a fucking gnarly 350 build, like 30 grand worth of 350. Yeah, it's fucking
really
dope.
All right, send it. Husky or KTM?
KTM.
It's like the same. Yeah.
Same shit. Yeah, that's the fucking move.
Same.
I was literally gonna try and sell you on getting a 350.
I'm already sold.
Cool. Well, we'll get it. 350 gang of Glen Helen.
Yeah, I want the juice of a 450, but I want like the weight and the mobility of a 250. How can you not go 350?
Yeah. Hey, you're preaching to the converted, brother.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
No, keep going.
No, I was gonna say, when I used to train with Caleb for the race, I would rip his big bike, and he has the Husky 350, and I would rip that thing. We'd go out everywhere, Fox and I forget all those tracks down there, but whatever. I used to rip his bike, and honestly, I was the fastest one on the track some days, which is interesting because I'm like older and out of shape.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of those things, man. Like when you know, to be at the level that you were and to spend that much time on a bike at the age that you did, like you just don't lose the speed. It's just you lose everything else. You lose the fitness, you lose the conditioning, you lose I guess like the mentality, like the focus to just stay out there and do a 20 or a 30-minute moto. So it's like, I don't doubt that you'd still fucking rip.
You know, the endurance and like my conditioning was the number one issue I have. That's like my number one, like getting back on a bike.
You're a professional gambler, bro.
Yeah, right.
You live the exact opposite lifestyle.
Exactly. I sit down for a living. But the number two thing that was like more relevant to riding is all of the tiny, tiny details of like exact body position, like exact this, like at what point in turn entry do you brake, and what point do you sit or stand, like those little details. But all those dudes from that whole squad down in Temecula, all of them have helped me, and like in one day, like huge turnaround.
Oh man, yeah, it'd come back so quick. Like there's just so much of like Ricardo, for example, right? So like he'll talk about he'll do is it fucking Jeddah, the gnarly track in Saudi? Is it with like the crazy small walls? You know, you seen that? You know the F1 track in I think it's in Saudi. It's like literally like this. It's Baku, yeah. And I'm like, dude, are you fucking scared? Because I'm scared for you. And he's like, oh yeah, if you think about it, it's like the scariest, gnarliest shit ever. But he's like, when you do it for so fucking long, like you've just done it forever, you just get in and you just go into that mode and you're not really thinking about it. And it'd be the same sort of shit with you. Like you've ridden a bike so much and fucking done so many motos in your life that there's just a certain level of it that is just in you now forever, you know?
Absolutely. You know, one thing I forgot, real funny story, I don't know why this popped into my head, is Zach Osborne's dad. I don't know if you knew. I grew up riding with him too. So his dad, when we were younger, used to rebuild all the dirt bike engines. His dad actually still owes my dad money for the last rebuild we ever did. Yeah. So Zach, I'm coming for you. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, that's fucking funny. Do you follow much of like professional racing nowadays, or like do you always still watch the races and shit?
Yeah, I never miss a race, bro. I've watched every single race, and I even once in a while will travel with the boys. You know, like we did the Salt Lake season closer last year.
Sick.
Yeah, I hit if you're like even in like a reasonable distance of whatever city I'm in during a race, like I'm there. And like A1, A2, Petco Stadium. This year I'm gonna hit the Coliseum.
Yeah, dude, I'll be there too, I think.
Yeah, you know, so I did actually miss last week Paula opener. I did miss it. I was going to go, and the night before just something came up and I just couldn't make it happen, but I watched it. So I definitely follow. I'm like fully immersed.
What do you think about our boy Jetson?
I have a slightly unpopular opinion.
All right, hit me with it. I'm here for it.
And I don't think it only affects him. My unpopular opinion is almost every fast 250 rider has been out for 2 years. So there's been no competition. So there's been no reference. Like, Jett is fast. He can race a one-man race, and he is fast. There's no doubting that. But if you put a healthy top 250 lineup together, I don't think he's clean sweeping, and I don't think Hunter's really getting that close either. And because of that, I had no opinion. Like, okay, Jett's gonna go into 450s. I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna fare well or not. And he did, but we also don't have a full 450 top lineup. You got 3 out of 10 top riders in the class, but he did. He hit the trifecta this weekend. There's no doubting. Chase was there. There's no doubting. But I think that Chase isn't even a good reference point because I think Chase is coming in scared because he screwed up so bad last year, to be honest. I think he's trying to take a different approach, especially since Eli's gone, and he's only considering Eli's my main competition. So with Eli out, he's like, I'm just going to take, a nice top-ish, finish and just coast through the season not making any major mistakes. So I really don't know if necessarily Jett is as fast or will continue to be as fast as maybe a lot of the fans think he is.
Well, I'll continue. I'm Team Jett, but I'll continue your line.
And I'm not against Jett. I'm not against Jett, by the way.
No, I'll continue your line. Like, I'll continue your thought. The other thing is that Sexton hasn't done any riding at all on outdoors. I mean, a little bit here and there. So, I mean, he's been solely focused on the Supercross Championship, and apparently Jett's been riding the 450 outdoors pretty much exclusively since Daytona. So, like, look, I'm Team Jett, but I'm just going to, give you a little bit more to work with on your unpopular opinion. I
love healthy competition. I don't like when a rider clean sweeps. I grew up riding with Eli, and I support it and all this. But it's not good for the sport. It's less entertaining to watch. I love a good, healthy competition. I want to see all the top riders at their healthiest just going at it. I want to go into the last race of the season on the edge of my seat like, this is going to do a year's worth of work for today, So that's what I like to see. And, it'd be nice to have everyone healthy in racing.
Well, I mean, obviously I'm Australian, Jett's Australian, Hunter, they're literally like my boys. I anytime anyone asks me, I have a hard patriotism rule, right? Anytime anyone asks me any opinion of who's going to do, I just say Jett and Hunter. They're my fucking boys, right? And it's the same in MotoGP, it's Jack Miller. And it's the same in F1, it's Danny Rick. If you fucking ask me, I don't give a fuck who I think will actually win. They're winning those races. But there was definitely a part of me at Parla when Jett was just fucking everybody up, where I was like, ooh, this could be super boring if this keeps happening. And it's he is going to do this. Imagine if Jett does that every single weekend from now for the next fucking 5 years.
It would be like back in the day. It'd be what is it, 06 era when we're watching Shaun White and everybody's only aiming for second place as the best possibility.
Yeah.
It would be an odd thing for the sport. I got to be realistic. I don't think it's going to happen. You get Anderson back, you get Webb fine-tuned, you get Mookie back. I just can't see. I mean, Mookie's so fast now. He's so fast and he's hungry and he's angry. I just can't. Eli comes back. I mean, I can't see it happening that way.
Yeah, and I think too, Parla was one of those tracks where there's a ceiling on how fast you can go. And I think that's why Jett was able to win those motos the way that he did. Well, the first one, he got 6 seconds in 3 laps and then just didn't drop that lead. But the second one was crazy strategic for Jett. And it was actually a pretty brilliant ride. And people... It's funny, we actually, in the office, we all went back and were looking at comments, because I've been Team Jett since, he literally signed, and I was telling people that this is what he was going to do. And we were reading all these comments of, you're overhyping this kid, bro. And I was like, okay, well, turns out I was pretty fucking right. But that race, like I'd compare him to James. I'd be like, he's the next James, he's the new James, and people would be like, shut your fucking mouth. Yeah, see, that was the reaction. But James would have to win races by like a crazy margin. You never really saw James win a moto by 2 seconds the way that Jett did. So like, hear me out. This is the high level chess that Jett played in the second moto at Parla. He basically ripped the start, got a certain comfortable lead, and then kept Sexton behind him, covered every single inside line, so that if Sexton was going to make the pass, he would have to go around the outside of him, which would mean he would have to ride the track faster than the track could actually be written. You know, like, James never fucking did that. James was I want to win every moto by a minute 30. I'm going to fuck these people up. And that's my deal. He never had that gear that Jett did. And for Jett to do that in his first ever for a full-time 450 race outdoors, that to me, I'm like, he's playing chess. These other motherfuckers are playing checkers.
Checkers. I don't disagree with the theory that he's really being smart.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the level of intelligence in the current field is so high that it's that hard to be that much smarter on one sample sizing. It was one race.
Yeah.
I think
that's my, so sorry, I probably should have kept building on that point, but basically not every track's going to be like that. Redbud, you're going to be able to send it far. There's not like a limit that the track's going to give you. Hangtown is probably going to be a hard limit track depending on the way the prep is, but you get to like Redbud, you get to like, there's going to be Budds Creek, Ironman, like there's going to be a bunch of tracks where there's no real ceiling, like you can fucking send it. And I think that's where it's going to be a little bit, the racing that you're predicting will probably come into play more in those places.
Something else is, I think Jett is like a soft rider, and I mean that in the sense of Barsha, Mookie, Anderson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody's going to clean Jett out. A vet is going to come in and let him know that he's a rookie. I'm just imagining that this will happen because some of these guys are just so angry and hungry, and Jett is like, I don't want to say he's not. I can't say it like that because he's working so hard and he's so fast and he's so good. He really is, you know? But somebody's going to really come in and show him, I think, another side that he might not have really encountered before.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I could see it. Dude, how much damage could that motherfucker do if you took him to like a casino and to be around some of the fucking chicks and shit that you're around?
Jett, I mean, he's just like, you know, this cute little kid. I mean, it's got to be great, but you know, he's like kind of like a rock star still. I mean, it's got to be awesome. It's got to be a fun time. Got to be fun. There's no way it couldn't be a blast.
He could do some serious damage. I hope he never learns how fucking hot he actually is.
Yeah, I mean, he could put up some serious numbers. I'm sure of it. I'm sure
like
he
David Beckham numbers.
You know, it's just really not fair to be that good at something and that good looking. Like,
probably hung like Seabiscuit.
Man, I've never seen Jett's dick. Right? I'm hoping that it's small because it's the only way to balance this out.
Just mid.
No, I'm hoping
just give us something mid.
Yeah, just something to give the rest of us a chance. Like me, okay, so I have certain things I'm good at, but I look like a bridge troll, okay? I give everyone a fair shot, you know?
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's fucking so funny. Dude, when did you, like, the tattoos thing? Like, you went fucking in on the tattoo thing. So, like, gives you a certain look and vibe. Like, when did that fucking start?
When I was 15, I think. I was straight out of juvenile prison, and like 2 months after I got released, I went to Miami. And when I was in Miami, I had these fake IDs that when I was even younger, my grandparents bought me, so that way they can take me gambling, right? So I always held on to these IDs. So when I went to Florida, I took a little trip to South Beach, and using my fake ID, I got my first tattoo. But I didn't just get one. I got two, actually. I got some letters that went from shoulder to shoulder, and then I got something on my lower stomach. So I got two at the same time my first time and just never looked back. And then, just so you know, 5 years ago, I stopped getting tattooed. I've only been tattooed, I think, 3 times in 5 years. I actually started removing them. So I've been removing my tattoos for close to half a decade or something now.
Yeah, right. What's the theory there?
having tattoos is a really bad idea. Like everything that like the elder people, the older, wiser, experienced in life people told me, everything came out to be true. But I was just so young and dumb that like, you know, I just didn't listen. You know what I mean? Like I just didn't listen. I was rebellious or whatever. And like there's so many factors that came into exactly why did one of my forms of rebellion come out in the form of tattooing myself. But ultimately, like all of it was a bad idea. Everywhere I go, there's judgment casted on me. Everywhere I go, I'm treated a little bit differently because of how I look. I have to wear certain clothes and I can't wear certain clothes because of the way I look. I have to like act a certain way. People treat me like whether they think it's good or bad. You know, everything is a huge like cast of judgment, whether people think it's positive or negative. But ultimately, and something people don't really talk about is how I feel about myself when I look in the mirror. And when I look in the mirror and I'm reminded of all these like moments in my life or experiences or circumstances or feelings or memories or whatever it is, this inner self-reflection is usually really poor and negative. And then I'm thinking really poorly and negatively about myself. And, you know, everywhere I go, I see a reflection of my own face or my body. And I'm only like having these inner negative self-thoughts. And then I act internally as if I am still like that.
Yeah. No, I definitely can see what you mean there. You're like not to take it like in a fucking different kind of pivot direction, but I guess we'll just go all over for the next little bit. But yeah, I mean, you seem like a super fucking sensitive dude, like, and you're a smart dude too. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that, like, me and my fucking wife talk about it. You know, like sometimes you'd be like, you see a lot of dumb and happy people, you know, and you see a lot of smart and sad people, and I think that there's definitely I'm fucking generalizing majorly here, so like everyone just fucking know that, but I think that, you know, there's a certain curse that comes with like a level of intelligence, you know, like you probably think about shit super, super deeply, and then you kind of can't, when you're a sensitive kid at the same time, then you kind of can't help but like feel those things to the level at which you can think about them as well, you know? I
agree, just so you know, but like I always try to like look at I always like convince myself that I'm not sensitive and I'm super cold or whatever. But a couple years ago, there was like some series of tragedies that happened. Not that I want to get into details, but I just remember when this was happening, I could no longer pretend that I wasn't feeling what the things that I was feeling. They were just the most strongest emotions I've ever had in my whole life that I had to face them. So for the last couple of years, I just sort of came to terms like I do think I have a lot of sensitivity. Something else that happened is as I got this fame, people started like picking me apart on like any single thing. Like I have people that are gonna watch this interview and make subreddit threads about, you know, whatever. They're gonna pick it apart. They're gonna look for details. They're gonna look for my Loretta's record, not even knowing like what my actual full name is, and then they're gonna post something like, "Oh, there's no Mikki Mase," and it's because that's not my full, you know.
That ain't me, G.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And so I started to realize that I am sensitive, and I don't know, man. It's just like I think that what happens, and thank you for saying I'm smart, but do not give me too much credit. I think what happens is this certain acuity of awareness, and the more aware I become or recognize conscious pieces of awareness, I think I realize there's like more depths to things, and it's not just always at face value. And then when you're considering what's beneath the surface, you have to consider motives also. Like, I'm sitting at like a gray countertop, but there's a reason this company chose gray, because they could have chose any color in the world. And then I start thinking the good reasons they chose it, and I'm like, no, it's more likely the bad reasons. And then the bad reasons are all like about manipulation and persuasion and economics and greed and lust, and I'm like, wow, they're using and abusing me to buy this gray table when my true choice would have been a pink table or something. And I know that sounds like such a far out or eccentric example, but I think like every single thing as a consumer, and every citizen of the world is a consumer, I think once you realize these certain, you know, pieces of awareness, that I think there is like a lot of negativity and evil things in the world, and builds a lot of fear, and I get scared, and I don't know, when I'm scared I feel more vulnerable. When you're vulnerable, you're more sensitive, and so I think that's sort of the chain of events that happens in my subconscious.
I think that there's definitely I mean, I feel like I went through my whole 20s, and just with like zero awareness of what you're sort of talking about, you know, like I feel like I had a certain self-awareness of like the way that I like my thoughts and actions would like impact people, but I definitely don't think I had awareness to the level of like understanding how your mind really works with thoughts and what feelings really are. And like, I mean, I think meditation was like a massive thing. Like I got kind of like super into that maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, actually sort of like when the podcast started. But I think that any time that your ego like really gets challenged and put front and center, and I think that's probably what you experience when you get like a certain level of fame, you know, like people really challenge your ego, like they challenge the person that you put out into the world, like your own idea of yourself. And then it kind of like forces you to like, as you said, look in the mirror, you know. And I think that's why there's like quite interesting people that go through that process, because it really, your ego gets torched and like put out on display, and then you get forced to look at everything you said, the way that you're acting, like, so yeah, it is a crazy ride to kind of be on. And then when I don't know whether you can't like help but be sensitive, or when you are a more kind of like sensitive person, because like, I mean, you can tell in all like the interviews that you've done and the shit that I've seen, like you're a smart and like a kind person. Like you like people to feel good. You've got like good charisma, good energy. You're never like negative. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like I guess it's just a unique position you found yourself in when it comes to that.
You know, I'll tell you this too, and this took me a long time to realize. I had to do a lot of inner work. I have a fear of not being wanted. I have a fear of not being accepted, and I have a fear of not being liked. You know, I want people to like me. Yeah, I mean, but some people build these like coping mechanisms where they'll push people away so they don't even have to ever face it. They're like, I'm not even gonna let you get close enough, you know. Yeah. And then as like, I don't know, when I've been put in a lot of these circumstances like through this fame or whatever, like if let's say I have an end goal, let's say I have a reason that I want to continue down this path of fame or recognition, let's say. Well, to do that, you have to be liked and wanted and accepted, or nobody will, you can't be famous, like, you know what I mean, or whatever. Yeah. So like, I had to really like face myself and face like, I do want to be liked. I do want to be wanted. I do want to be accepted, you know? So how can I do that while staying true to myself? And then certain times people will pick that apart. They'll be like, oh, he's being fake, or oh, he's being this. And I'm like, bro, I worked so hard to be vulnerable just so you'll like me. And then you're shutting me down. Then it hurts my feelings, you know?
Yeah, I think that I mean, I can completely relate, bro. Like I think I probably spent like the fucking first 25 years of my life like trying to be liked, trying to be, you know, cool, trying to have, you know, like these fucking people around me, like exactly what you said. I want to be liked, I want to be. But then I think that it's like fucking sand, you know, like the harder you grip onto sand, the more that it slips through your fingers, you know, like the people that. And it was crazy for me. I have a younger brother. We're only like 18 months apart.
Same.
But he's like effortlessly cool, you know? So I think like I overanalyzed. Like I looked at him. I'm like, he's so cool. He's so this. He's so, you know, I wanted to be more like him. But again, it's like the more you want something, the more you grab onto something, it sort of like slips through your fingers. Like I think people can see through that want, and you know, that's the thing that people pull apart. And I think as soon as I just got to a point where I just literally stopped giving a fuck. And then I think that when you do stop giving a fuck, and I think that life's about your intentions too, you know, like if your intentions are genuine, like if you're sitting here in this interview and you genuinely want to be a good dude, you genuinely want to be nice to people, you have these like genuine feelings and genuine intentions, then you can fucking take your hands off the wheel, you know, like you can make mistakes, you fuck up, you can say the wrong thing, whatever, and then you just come out, you're like, fuck, I fucked up, sorry, like I'm human, you know. I think that once you do take the hand off the wheel, if your intentions are genuine, fucking go on autopilot, go through life like, and let your intentions guide you in that sense, you know.
I agree. It's a learning journey I'm still on, you know. I'm trying to find like the sweet spot. I'm also scared to be too like honest or vulnerable with my emotions, because I've come to realize, you know, I do have like, I'm sensitive sometimes or whatever, and I get scared that someone might reject me, you know, a fear of rejection or not being accepted or whatever. So I don't know. It's like a tough place. It's just all part of the learning deal. But you know what's funny, bro? I used to like see these things that like when I was younger, like how we'd look at adults. When we were kids, we'd look at adults and be like, that's a grown up. They know what they're doing. Like they got it going on. Well, now we are those grown ups. And I realize all of us have no idea what we're doing. Anyone who tells you they know what they're doing is lying. All of us are just every single day making our best guesses.
Yeah. Dude, you're so fucking right. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've got to this point, but there's definitely... I got to a point where I was like, oh, my parents have still no fucking idea. And all those things, I think so many of us have trauma from our parents and our childhood. Like, I made my childhood out to be so much worse than what it actually was now that I'm fucking in my 30s and looking I'm like, dude, my dad was just doing his best. Like, he had this fucking shitty job and he was making no money and he had 3 fucking kids. And like, that was hard shit. Like, of course he was, you know, had this blah 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 blah, you know. So it's like I think when you get old enough to realize that your parents were just fucking failing upwards as much as you feel like you are in your own life, you know.
Yeah, I also made my childhood out to be worse than it was. But something interesting is we don't have reference. So to us,
100%.
You know, when you're, let's say, 8 years old and you're, I don't know what, your dad yells at you and then your mom grounds you, whatever, right? That feeling you have at 8 years old of that sadness or the anxiety or whatever, that could have been the worst you ever felt in your life at that point. But when you like look back at it 30 years later, you're like, that was a baby little 8-year-old problem, you know, like, but at the time, that's actually the worst you ever felt in your whole life, but you're only 8, so you didn't have a reference. You know?
Dude, there's literally a saying, the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Like, you've got no fucking idea. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's just, I guess it's a bummer then when you take that energy and, you know, for you chose to fucking, I'm sure, start hanging around with some shitty people, start doing drugs, like, and it sort of manifests in that way, you know?
Yeah. You know, looking back, if I could like redo things 100%, I would. But I can't. So that's really it. You just got to keep building on what I got now and the awareness or whatever, you know, the experiences.
Well, I think on one hand though, like, I mean, I'm sure that there was probably some real fucked up things in your life that you would take back or like do differently again. But then I also think that you're in a unique position now, man, you know, like you're a super well-known dude. You've obviously got like this fucking weird ability with gambling and it resonates with people. And I mean, there's a lot of people that you could probably stop from doing those fucked up things. And like, imagine if someone came to you or you had like definitive proof, like a fucking crystal ball or something, and you look in it, right? And then you're like, you see a dude watching YouTube, watching one of your interviews that like decides to change his life. And it's like at that point, there's like this fucking T-junction where if he didn't see the interview with you, he goes and overdoses on drugs and dies. And then because he sees your interview, he goes right and fucking lives happily ever after. It's like, if you genuinely got faced with that and you knew it to be a fact, and then like, let's say God was like, all right, Mikki, you can go back and get a chance to relive all your life and do it perfect, but then this guy has that drug overdose and dies. You'd probably be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll get the tattoos. I'll do the drugs. I'll go to jail, and I'll end up right here just so that guy can stay alive. Because that's probably the fucking reality.
That is so deep, bro. That is so heavy. Wow. That is
and that's
so
probably happened.
Heavy.
That's probably happened.
Well, so I get DMs, without exaggerating, every day. I don't want to say I get more than one. Maybe so. Let's just say I get one a day, but it's every day, 7 days. You know, for the last few years, about how I somehow indirectly save someone's life. Like exactly the example you gave. Like at least once a day, I'll get some kind of message. I did start a foundation a few months ago. It's called Shaken Hearts, and you can find it on Instagram. And for free, we take anybody anybody struggling with mental health, like depression, anxiety, gambling addiction, drug addiction, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, any of those factors, and for free, we'll find you the best possible treatment options in your area. And I do my best to give back, you know, and I don't drink, I don't drug, I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't curse, I don't I mean, there's other things. I also don't drink caffeine. I don't eat sugar. I don't, whatever, you know, no pork, whatever. The only thing I basically do is I vape and I gamble, right? But I do my best to like stay on that path of being able to like spread awareness or help people. And you know, through Shaken Hearts, we've definitely helped a lot of people, but I wish I can help more. I want to help as many as I can. I needed help when I was younger, you know, and I was like a charity case myself. I didn't have money, and I was like in and out of homelessness, and just like a problematic person, like a younger person. And enough people offered me help that eventually I took it, and you know, now, you know, life's given me some blessings and some beautiful opportunities. Yeah, I don't know. That's like a deep thing to think. Like when I die, that I sit in front of God and He says, "I'll let you go back and redo everything if you want, but then all the people that you saved, you will not have the opportunity to save, and they'll die. And then I have the choice to do it or not." I would not be able to give you an answer. Like, I really have to think about it. It comes down to a level of selfish versus selfless. But then also, like, I don't know, can you, without saving those people, can you find another way to save people? Like, how many people did I hurt or kill along my path that I took on my current path? Is that more or less than the people I helped or saved now? You know, because if I can go back and not do any of it and no one got hurt because of me to begin with, then it's that many less lives needing saving because of me. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. That's one way to fucking spin it.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I never thought of it. That's like deep. I never thought about it. I don't know.
So what was the drug that got you fucked up?
All of them.
Really?
All of them. Yeah, I live under full pressure, full intensity, full everything. I want the greatest and most impactful experiences I can have, whether synthetic or organic.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a type of person that is completely down with chaos. And, you know, like, that. I think about it in, like, I'm not a gnarly example of it. Like, I guess I, like, have a toe dipped in this water, but I kind of see it, you know. Like, I grew up in, it was like a kind of crazy place. Like, my parents bought this fucking house off a plan, like, out of town in like, this small new suburb. And then right after they, like, everything got developed, it basically got turned into a housing project. So there were, like, a few streets that were, like, normal that people bought off the plan, and then I don't know whether it, like, didn't sell or, like, what the deal was, but yeah, then, like, the rest of it went to housing commission. So I was, like, a kid that had, like, a really nice, loving parents. Like, both my parents were together, best family in the world, and then all around me were fucking kids that were on drugs. Like, my best friend's dad was a fucking gnarly drug dealer. Like, I was at his house multiple times when he, like, beat the shit out of his mum, and, like, we're fucking hiding out of bed. Like, so I lived, like, this fucking gnarly life by proxy. And then I'd go home to my bed and my fucking nice parents, and then there'd be a bunch of kids that'd come and stay at our house. Like, so I kind of, and then as we got into high school, they were selling drugs, and, like, it was like a gnarly way to grow up, but I was fairly protected from it, you know? And I wonder about, like, the impact that makes on your life of being, like, around chaotic shit from a super young age, you know? Like, and even now, like, I'm down to just fucking move my whole life in a day, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, so I've got a little bit of it, but I never went fucking gnarly bad with drugs. Like, I never got in the kind of trouble that my friends got in. And, like, I literally, this mate I'm talking about, I just saw him for, like, the first time in 2 years. Like, he was at my wedding, and he was like, "Man, remember, Dan's dead. Fucking this dude's dead. Like, this chick, dude, she lost her kids recently. Like, the fuck socials, she got crazy bad on meth." Like, it was just fucking insane the way that, you know, some people can go. So it's like, I get with you that level of just down to be in the fucking chaos. Like, where can this experience take? And I mean, that's why you're fucking Sendy on a dirt bike too, you know? You're just, like, down to see where the shit goes.
You know, it's so funny. I used to have that same train of thought. I used to actually, like, low-key blame my dad for, like, living such a for me growing up to be someone who lived so full Sendy chaotic life. Because I was like, I was a baby. My brain was still developing, and you put me on a dirt bike, and I'm sending it and, like, doing crazy things, only thinking, you know, like, I began to, like, develop a thought that was like, this is the only way to live. Like, pinned, full throttle, you know, 6 gear tapped. That's it. So when I got older, I continued living like that. And then but now all these years later, obviously was not my dad. And again, like we said, he was just doing his best. He obviously didn't want to put me in harm's way. He was doing his best. He thought it would do the opposite. But like half of us,
and for a lot of kids, it does do the opposite.
Exactly. Half of us went on to be like some of the top pros that are still in the circuit, and the other half of us went on to be problematic. And then I look at kids that never raced. They never raced dirt bikes. They never drag raced. They never like did those things. Half of them are like great human beings. The other half like were problematic. So there really is like nowhere to put that blame. Maybe it's just who I am, like, you know, and those were the external circumstances are built around who I actually am anyway. Or maybe there is some effect that it had to just being Sendy in my life. But it also played like good roles. Like I would not have accomplished all the things I did in life if I didn't reach for the absolute ceiling in everything I touched.
Yeah, and there's a weird mentality that I feel like guys like you have to where they kind of like just believe that they can do the things that they're doing. Like, I mean, some of the fucking gambling shit that you've done, like I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos and that, and just like crazy fucking hands, bro. Like just millions of dollars in you know, poker tournaments that's on TV, and you can just like sit there, be chilling. Like there's a very unrelatable level of self-belief that you have to like sit there and do that shit. Like I think there's like one video I watched, it's like, this is the greatest poker bluff of all time.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people call it delusion, just so you know.
Yeah,
you know,
bro, for real. That's what it is.
I live in this state of delusion, except that it's supported by action. So every so often, my action will meet the delusion that I had in my mind, you know? And that's when we make history. That's when these historic events take place.
Yeah, so you can't be the you that can do that shit without being that chaotic, fucked up dude that's lived this gnarly life that you've lived, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So it's like this weird double-edged sword, you know? But all I know is that I'm here and I can't change the past. So, like, I'm just going to keep on keeping on, you know? I had something I wanted to say on that. I forgot what, though. You want to know how I realized? So this, like, delusional, false, like, self feeling of belief or whatever. Like, I can tell you the first time I had those feelings where I realized that there's no cap, right? Like, there's no limit. And it was always about getting in trouble. When I was like really young, I remember that I would like do something bad, like in school, and they'd like give me a punishment, like detention or whatever. And I'd be like, okay. I'd be like, I wonder what would happen if I did something worse. And I'd do something worse and it was the same consequence. They're like, more detention. And I'd be like, how bad can I be before there's a different consequence? And then it'd only be like, okay, now you're suspended for 3 days. And so then I realized no matter how bad I was, there was no limit to how crazy I could be in school because the consequence is always the same. Like nothing actually ever happened. And then I just like kept building on that. I was like, people are like, you can't just go to a restaurant and be loud. And I will just scream on top of my lungs. And what are you going to do? There's no consequence. And I'm like, don't say you can't do that because you can do it. And this like this concept of this like delusional, false sense of belief, like continue to build on that. Everybody's like, you can't do that. It's not doable. Don't do that. You can't. I'm like, my man, you absolutely can. Watch me do it.
I promise you. I promise you can.
Yeah.
Dude, no, I get it, man.
You can't just pick up and leave and move to LA because you feel like it today. Who's going to stop me?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that there's like but it's weird though, right? Because you've got this like fear of not being liked and this fear of being judged on the one hand, but then on the other hand, like you also don't give a fuck because you can't give a fuck and then follow through with those kind of actions, you know? Like it's weird how those two things don't exactly sit together.
There's a term, I forget the term. It's dang. It's like, what do they call it? Like an egomaniac with low self-esteem. Dang, there's like a term, but it's like an oxymoron. There's like a term that describes that kind of characteristic. I forget what it is. It's a very volatile mix, I'll tell you that. I forget what the actual term is, but it does describe me as well as a lot of other people I know. And it's very volatile. You know, we'll do something really crazy, delusional, whatever, and even accomplish it. And then we'll self-reflect and doubt about it. You know, and then we'll hate ourselves for accomplishing something we set out to succeed in.
Yeah, there's a weird thing though that I kind of, I don't know if you could relate to it, but like what I did before the podcast is like film. I used to like music videos and dirt bike videos and fucking all that shit. And I would be so anxious about it to the point where like I didn't want to do it. And it was the same every fucking time. And it's like the same before a podcast. Like I'm here way too early. I'm making sure everything's fucking I've got this crazy anxiety and thinking like I'm about to fuck it up. And then you like it, that anxiety like pushes you through it. And it's like it's almost like what you're talking about, where it's like you've got this crazy self-confidence, but then also like this extreme level of self-doubt. And it's like, does the self-doubt, is that what then like creates the confidence because you've spent so much time like doubting every single, I don't know, it's fucking weird.
I don't know either, but I can tell you this, despite any emotions or feelings I've ever had, if I've pre-committed in my head, like if I've committed to do something, I am pushing through and doing it no matter what. So like fear or no fear, like I'm still trudging on.
Well, that's like Travis Pastrana would say that. Like I've had him on the podcast and a bunch of different conversations with him, and he's like, yeah, I'm scared. Because I'm like the opposite, especially when it comes to like dirt bikes and shit like that. There's like a level where I'm just not going to do it. I'll stop at the hard fear barrier because it just is what it is. And then and I would have said like, oh, he's got no fear. And that's what people would think about. Like dudes like you, Travis, like those kind of guys that would do that crazy shit. And they'd say like, oh, he mustn't be scared. But you're right. Like there's some guys where they're like, once they fucking make up their mind that they're doing it come hell or high water.
Yeah. Travis is, what a unique human being. Yeah, that's all I can say. Because, you know, like for me and you, who are probably a little bit more normal or tame in that regard.
Way more normal.
Yeah, you know, like he'd be like, hey, let's go try to do this trick that science says our bodies can't handle the G-forces on. Me and you are going to be like, nah, you know, we're good. Yeah, I'm out. And somehow he is still a human like us, so he still processes the same emotions, I assume, pushes through and like sends it. You know, I don't know. It's like, it's ridiculous to me, actually. It's like ludicrous.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I'm with you. How, so when you said you were addicted to drugs and you went down that path, like how did you get off that shit? And like, how bad was that? Because I can imagine that a like drug addiction, like a gnarly drug addiction would be probably one of the gnarliest things that a human can go through.
It was tough and it took a lot of trial and error. I wasn't like I had I'd wanted to like straighten out and clean my life up like many years before I did. I had made many feeble attempts. I'd made many strong attempts. Ultimately, I just was so defeated at the end of it that I was just willing to take any direction from anybody, because there's like, I had a proven track record of only being able to make poor and wrong decisions. So, you know, like, and I couldn't shy away from it. I couldn't like pretend that my track record of absolute destruction didn't exist at some point in my life. So you could have been a total stranger. You could have been like another homeless person sitting next to me in the same park. And if you gave me advice, I was going to take it because I knew for sure mine wasn't going to work. So yours at least had some chance. And finally, I just, I was put into an environment around people that had also like straightened themselves out, and they're my friends a long time. And I just did whatever they said. I just took all their direction. They were like, jump. And I said, how high? And I had done that. They said, now you're going to get a job. And I went and got a job. They said, now you're going to go here. You're going to eat that. You're going to sit like this. You're going to talk to this person. You're going to not talk to that person. Whatever it was, I just did it. And slowly, it wasn't like overnight, I saw this gradual shift in my life where I had already been given like the outline on life. Like, in this situation, this is your response. In this situation, this is your response. So rather than tell me like where I'm going to eat and when I'm going to eat, I had began to understand why they were saying that. So I already started to have the answers and the guide, you know, the guidebook or whatever. And I saw this like gradual shift in no longer having to ask when to go to the bathroom and just knowing when the right times to go to the bathroom were.
Yeah. So like literally you just started life again. You're just like a fucking puppy basically.
100%. I actually refer to like that time in my life as such. I was like reborn. Like everything was a new experience. Like the first time I slept with a woman, once I like, you know, shifted over, it was almost like I lost my virginity again, because it was the first time I was experiencing it in those circumstances. First time I went to a concert, first time I went to a roller coaster. Mind you, I'd done all these things in the past, but now it was literally like my first time all over again, and it was from a totally different perspective. And now I'm able to fully experience these things. Like, I could be there for the full purity of the moment. When I go to Six Flags or whatever, I am fully experiencing it. When I go to a party, when I go to a concert, an event, or I'm with a woman, or I'm on a date or whatever, I am fully immersed in the purity of the moment. Like, whether it's good or bad, I have the full experience of it.
Yeah. Are you one of the ex-drug addicts? Well, I guess you're never an ex-drug addict. But do you miss drugs?
I mean, drugs are pretty sweet while they're sweet, but when they stop being sweet, they're so goddamn bad. They're so sour, you know?
Yeah.
Like, everybody around me basically does drugs recreationally. And occasionally some of them will cross the line where it's no longer recreationally. And something that's like interesting is they know like where I'm at, and I'll be there with them, and they'll be like, hey bro, I just crossed the line, I need help. And I'm able to offer them help and like watch them blossom into new people and give them the guidebook that was given to me, you know. And all I have to do is like follow those steps, and it's like a beautiful thing to watch their transformation around me. But you know, before I like became a public figure or whatever, nobody, even like some of my good friends, didn't even know that I was straight edge or sober or nothing, because I always stayed very anonymous, very private, and like there was like a time and place for me to share that information, and it usually was never, you know. The only time I used to ever share that information about myself is if I thought that it was going to help the person I was speaking to. And it was like, so otherwise it was super rare that I would speak about it. I remember like one of my exes, we lived together for 3 years. For the first 6 months that we were already moved in together, she had no idea that I was actually like straight edge or anything. She just like never really thought about it. She just thought like I didn't drink that much, or like I always drove, so she didn't. So she was like, oh, he's just a safe driver, he doesn't want to drink and drive. So it took her 6 months after we already lived together for her to actually realize and just ask me outright, like, are you completely? And I'm like, yeah, completely, you know. So now it's like my least favorite topic, but as we kind of said earlier, I do get a lot of people that contact me that say that hearing me share part of this message had inspired them to try to better their lives. And I hope I saved as many lives as the people tell me I did. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's super interesting to me, like, just from, you know, I've definitely in the past have done drugs recreationally, and like you know, you could just see, and I've been around people that have had like crazy drug problems, and then the I guess, like I said, the way that I kind of grew up, like, it was, I only ever saw it in like the gnarliest context that it could kind of be, and it wasn't until I was like in other places where I was like, oh, people do this shit for fun, you know. But I can imagine how fucking gnarly it would be to kind of like pull yourself out of that hole, you know. And it's a lot about the story of like who that you tell to yourself about yourself, and it's very, very hard to rewrite those scripts about who you are and what you do.
Yeah. You know what sucks too? Because of the way I look, the people that don't like me throw it in my face all the time. They could accuse me of still being on drugs, and like, you know, they're like, how can a bridge troll looking junkie ever have accomplished that, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I still look like a bridge troll, but the rest of it, you know, is not accurate.
Yeah. And so how then did so you were kind of obviously around the casinos and shit, your grandparents got you the fake IDs, but when is like gambling almost like your new motocross? Like, it's like you need something to be like crazy focused in on and develop a talent and develop a skill and like attack it with that same level of enthusiasm that you did as a kid.
It was, I mean, I've been around it my entire life. Like, I grew up in like these New York City card rooms, you know, like that was like my childhood. And again, like, I didn't know what it was. Same like dirt bikes, you know, like I didn't know. I was just, that's like how I grew up. Like, we're having a family dinner and it would be at the card room with all these like people. Like, now as an adult, I know who they were or who they are, but I didn't then. There, I just thought it was like auntie whoever, uncle whoever. Yeah. So gambling was just what I didn't have reference. Again, I just thought that's what life was, you know. And then my grandparents, who had started raising me when I was pretty young, around the time I quit motocross ish, and because I was just became so problematic. But for my parents, who are still great parents, and I'm very close to them today. But my grandparents were full-time gamblers, you know, so that's what we did. We traveled and gambled, and now I'm pretty burnt on gambling. I'm banned from almost every casino. I have like pretty big limitations nowadays, so I don't play as nearly as often as I used to play. Now I'm like working on shifting my focus.
What where do you think you're gonna kind of go to now in terms of shifting your focus?
Mostly I think I'm looking towards, well, I'm starting a couple companies again. This is something I did before I went full-time gambling, but I'm starting a couple companies again. I don't want to speak on them yet because they're not live. I don't want to be premature.
Yeah.
But most of my energy outside of that is I'm going into Hollywood. We just finished filming a couple TV shows. I'm filming a couple movies. Like every day, another producer or another streaming service, Netflix, Hulu, Roku, has contacted me. It's like, it feels like it's every day, making propositions like for TV shows and movies. So I think I'm going to start getting more into that. Let me not misspeak. I am getting more into that. I'm actually pretty happy about it. It's pretty cool, man. And it's so weird because like I look like this, so I feel like I can only do so much, but I'm being offered so many roles and so many movies. And it's like kind of broad, and it's really cool. I'm having a really good time.
Have you done much acting and shit before?
Nah, definitely not. And I'd said this in the beginning. In the beginning, they wanted to make movies or TV shows about me, where I don't have to act, just be me, which was cool. And then it started to shift into, hey, we are also producing a film for Netflix about this. Nothing to do with you. You have a cool aesthetic. It would fit this character perfect. Do you want to play the role? And I'd said, like, bro, I don't know how to act. They go, everybody's got an acting coach. Like, you thought everybody was born with the acting bug? And so I've been doing that. Actually, I met with one of my childhood heroes the other day who's helping me read some lines, Andy Milonakis. So I went over to Andy Milonakis's place, and he's just like helping me with my script, like reading lines with me. And I was like, this is ridiculous, you know? And dude, it's just super cool. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah. So do you have like an agent and shit? Like you kind of like fully gone down that path, or it's mostly just been you?
It's so weird how this happened. It's just been me. But everybody that's contacted me would be the people it's the people that my people would try to get me in touch with anyway. So I sort of skipped all those steps and just went right to the producer, right to Netflix, right to Hulu. And I'm going actually right now. When I leave here, I have to make a phone call to an agent. One of the producers suggested it because I don't understand the terminology. So that's a big struggle, and it's slowing down a lot of my processes because I have to like learn what it is we're even talking about. So I think I'm gonna get one, which is gonna serve more as a mediator. But to be honest, it's just been me. I'm just like a dolo one-man army.
Yeah. Do you have a team of people around you, or you just kind of like do everything yourself? Like, how does that shit work on a day-to-day?
I have a team around me, and I've had a team around me a long time. But at the end of all of it, we all just are like become really good friends. And this is probably my own thing, but I always feel like I can do it better, you know? And I get really scared that I'm going to allow someone either take advantage of me, or I'm going to allow someone to drop the ball, you know? So like, even though I have a manager, even though I have like a rather large team of like top professionals, I still like, I don't know, like to be in control. Like they'll like send me something and I'll be like, that's interesting, give me the guy's number, and then take the rest of the conversation from there, you know?
So in an unusual twist of events, we started this podcast on the 2nd of June 2023, and then we had a rare technical fuck up where we lost the backup and the backup of the back. We just like literally lost everything. So I didn't even like understand when you were explaining it to me. I didn't either, to be honest, but it was one of those things. So for people that are watching this now, me and Mikki were in the same place, but the previous 1 hour and 30 minutes, we weren't in the same place. I was in Australia. You were here in this very room, but now I'm here, and I don't know. I'm not mad at it, to be honest. So it's exactly half that we lost. Basically halfway through the podcast, we had one of the cords that goes to that red box just decided to stop doing its thing. I could still hear you. Everything was sweet. Not recording. And it was the second half that we lost. Yep. Do you remember any of the questions? Well, I actually went back through it. Hang on, I'll check this one. Yeah, so I literally just went back over the podcast a little bit before and just like figured out where we're at, what we were missing. We sort of spoke about your racing, growing up, got a bunch into the drug addiction stuff, which is super gnarly, and like just still respect for that, just to be living the life that you live in and around so much drugs and just to not be doing drugs.
It's so funny. I talked to my boy today. He was like one of the main, what do you say, like people that like, you know, like help me like change and improve my life. And just today we were on the phone and we're just telling jokes, and he says something. He's like, I want to be like you, like just joking to me. And I was like, bro, I always try to just be like you, and you are the way I am. You know what I mean? Because he lived this life like, he's like, yeah, like I don't really party anymore like that. But I would be around him and I'd be like, before I even knew all that, I'd be like, this dude is living the sickest life. He's just doing everything that's cool, anything he wants.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want that. And it turns out he's like, oh, I used to have problems too. This is how I fixed it. Let me help you.
Yeah.
So like I directed my like life after the way he directed his. Yeah. And now it's almost a decade later. He's calling me today like, bro, I want to live like you. And I'm like, no, bro, I'm always just trying to live like you, you know?
Yeah. No, it's crazy the depths of like where you were, you know, like I was just listening back to it. So yeah, we went through that. And then we just started talking about you blowing up on Instagram and how I said, like literally the last thing that I was saying before it shit the bed was how it's like normally chicks that blow up the way that you do. Like it's pretty rare for a dude to come along, especially like you'll hear everybody say like you can't make it on Instagram right now, like you got to go to something new, or you got to like, normally it's the people that are first on there that blow up, but yeah, you just came out the gate and
I was late to all of it.
Crazy.
All the social media. I'm still like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm late to all of it. I think my content's just really good. And it's weird because like I literally don't know what I'm doing. Like when I started, so I was like, I was anti-social media my whole life. You know, I thought it was like the devil's tool for real. And
which you could argue it probably is.
Yeah,
if you don't know how to use it.
Yeah, it probably still is, you know. I mean, I would say like 99% of social media is used for evil and damages and hurts people and doesn't help. And then there's like 1% that it does help, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just I still don't even hardly know what I'm doing, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, just to show up and blow up. And I think it's what you said, like good content. You literally made this you looked very unique, and then you just made this insane content, and you were just like winning fuck tons of money. Like I remember the first time I come across your shit, it was like you had like $6 million in cash that you were just like moving around. It's like, it was just like, it was fucking cool, and it came from nowhere.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Like the first year, like I'm in my third year now of ever having social media, and in my first year, none of it was like for the first year, every single piece of content was by pure randomness that there was even a photo or a video about it. Yeah. Because before social media, I was so anti-social media. I was like, I rather experience life now, not later through a lens, you know? So like we never took selfies, like me and my people, like we never took selfies. We never took videos. We never took photos of anything because there's no need. And like, I don't know, it only seemed like a liability.
Yeah.
So like whatever I had posted in my first year on any platform was like random stuff that just like somebody had at some point. It was only like in year 2 that I started taking content knowing that the purpose ultimately was going to be to get posted on social media.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know, it was just super raw, super real, just super like, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I just posted whatever. It was fun, and it went viral immediately.
Yeah. So why were you against the social media from the start?
Well, when I was young, I was a criminal. And so like definitely there's no need to be a public figure.
Yeah.
And I was very comfortable with like my anonymity. I was like, there was nothing an outsider was going to bring me that wouldn't have been a liability. There's no asset that would come from a stranger knowing who I am or anything about me. I was like in my lane. I had my network. I had my routine. I had my people. I had been doing my thing, and I was very content, and I was safe, you know? And like all my people felt that way. You know, the same reason like a lot of people use like aliases, you know, or a lot of people use nicknames or like burner, whatever reason it is, like privacy and security and safety. And privacy, I think, is like something that like a lot of kids, I say kids, I'll say why, but I think a lot of kids don't value like not even like a fraction of the value that privacy really has. And I think what happened is, and I talk about this all the time in real life. You know how everybody's thing now is share your location with me?
Yeah, never.
Okay, let me tell you something.
I will never.
Bro, I think we're going to agree 100%, right?
Yeah, fuck that.
We grew up our whole lives trying not to get tracked by the man, right? Like our whole purpose in life, like the biggest thing we got is like don't get in cars with strangers, you know, all these things that we do today. My whole life for decades, my like number one thing is don't get followed, don't get tracked, don't tell people. You don't want to be tracked. And now it's like share my if you don't share your location, you're like not even in the friend group. I'm like, hey, that's a group I don't need to be in.
Never send a bitch your dot. That's how you get shot.
Yeah. So,
word to my boy 21.
Yeah. So I think like this weird thing, these kids that are like coming of age or whatever, the biggest thing is like, oh, she sent me her location, so that must mean we're serious, or however they're like interpreting this. No. Miss me with that. I never even opened the app. I never downloaded it. I don't even know how it works. I don't want to know how it works. You know. So I think like in this weird era that we're in now with these like kids coming into social media, coming of age, whatever, their whole thing is like they want to be tracked, they want to be seen, they want to be found, they want to be noticed, they want all this. For me, probably same like you, like in our era, it was the polar opposite. It was like, don't be seen, don't be followed, don't be tracked, be private. And like Lil Wayne says, real G's move in silence like lasagna.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, I also think it comes from people that like don't have any kind of like legitimate following, or they're not a legitimate public figure. You know, like it's one of those things. I mean, it was definitely, for me anyway, like when I started this, because I was like 29, 30. So I'd like lived a pretty full, like I'd lived a pretty full 20s by that point, you know? And it was like, dude, I was so disillusioned with like people who were famous. Like I was around a lot of people who were famous. I'm like, it ain't what it's cracked up to be in a lot of ways, you know? And like, there'd be a certain level where, like I go to places now and I'm like not announcing that I'm going to be there, you know, and I'm in a different lane because it's like very specific, like the people that know me, it's like in a certain world, right? Sure. So it's like I know like this is a hotspot. This is a place I can go be and like no one will know who the fuck I am. But it's like, man, I think once you actually have places where you can go and be known by everybody, that's when you realize the value of being known by no one. Yeah, 100%. But these kids that live in that world, like it's literally they don't have that experience, so they'll never be recognized anywhere. They're looking at it through like a different lens, you know. Yeah. They're like they want to know what it's like to feel recognized everywhere. So they're pushing the location and the posting, and like they're always everybody's always trying to flex and tag like where they're at. I don't know, and it was really hard for me to break through any of this content stuff, to be honest. And like just now, you know, I walked in on the phone with my sister, who she's pretty famous, and like I'm like asking her advice. I'm like, what do I like? Should I just delete that? Like, because it's a weird thing to be like the man that I grew into be, which was privacy and no social media, and like what does social media even help? You know, to like now I'm like whatever. You know, and like you're saying, like when do I not want people to know where I am, stuff like that. So weird. I'm still trying to learn and navigate. Has it been weird for you to go from like literally being nobody to a guy that, you know, people know? And then especially I think here it's like it's such a scene here, you know, like you can just be at all these places where if you're at all these places, you're in the scene. And, you know, so it's like, this is definitely like a weird place where you can kind of like be that guy too, you know? It's a super weird breeding ground. That's so interesting. Like, so there's famous people that live here, right? Then there's everybody else. Yeah. And everybody else is always 1 degree of separation away from a famous person. That's so true. So it's really easy for everybody else to really confuse their role. You know what I mean? And it's
the thing is that some of those people can maximize or capitalize or utilize the fact that they are only 1 degree of separation away.
Yeah.
But like even 99% of all of those people the rest of us will spot a mile away. Like we know why. We know what you're doing here. You're maybe not one of us. So like, what are you doing? There's only one other reason you're here, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just a weird breeding ground. I think it's like, I don't know. It's so interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did talk a bit about, I can't remember whether I'm going to get fucked up on whether some stuff's in or like it was the wasteland footage. But yeah, we talked about like social credits versus like money credits, you know?
Oh, I hope that's in the...
I can't remember if it is or not.
I hope that's in, bro. That was I forgot we talked about that.
Yeah, but
was cool.
That's kind of what we're sort of talking about in this, you know, in this sense now, is that it's like, it's almost so much more valuable these days to even have like a social status than it is to have like a monetary status.
Yeah, it was the social credits having more value than like financial credits. That's what we said, right?
Yeah.
And it's true.
Because I've been on like the example I use, like I was on a yacht in New York for President's Cup for golf, and it was like a crazy rich dude like owned this boat, and no one gave a fuck. Like people wanted to talk to the people that had the social credits. It was like the rich dude was the one that was like funding the experience for everyone, but it was like the chicks that were there did not give a fuck about that dude in particular. Like they actually wanted the famous people, you know. It was very interesting to watch that.
I swear to God, I hope that's in the saved footage so bad. That was such a good conversation. Yeah, it's true, 100%, 100%. I'll tell you, like last night. So I'm really close with Young Gravy.
Yeah.
And his album release party was last night.
I bet he has a big cock.
I can't speak on it. You know, I don't know.
He just seems like the kind of girl, like he has like you know how you can like big dick energy as like as an expression.
Yeah.
I feel like he actually has a big cock.
Do you know how tall he is?
Yeah, he's fucking massive.
He's like 7. I think he's 7 foot something, bro.
Yeah,
he's enormous.
Yeah.
But he's also really, really cool.
He seems like a fucking cool guy. Yeah.
Humble and cool.
It's like a 7 foot Danny Duncan.
Yeah. Just. So he texts me. He's like, "Hey, pull up," you know. So I go last night.
Did he have a show on?
No, it was such a unique venue. It was actually right next to my house, and it was the parking lot that you have to enter through an alleyway of a deli, like a local deli.
Okay.
It was super interesting, but it was super sick. It was like, and it was such a good time, and it was invite only. It was like very like strict on, you know, who was going to come and who's not. And it was like basically just friends only. There was no record label execs there. Nobody in a suit was there. It was only like friends, you know? And half his friends are like YouTubers. Like all the Churdleys were there. Like all those dudes were there. Trevor Wallace was there. Spencer Barrick, the porn star, was there. Actually, we actually went together, me and him. Sky Bree was there, like all, like, you know, very interesting group of people, and it was like all people that it was like fun, really fun to be around, like no problem. And I remember there was a chick that I knew there who came up to me. She gave me a hug and she goes, "Hey, how you been? Whatever." I'm like, "Good." She goes, "This is my boyfriend, whatever his name is."
Steve.
Yeah. Steve. Yeah, whatever, you know, exactly.
Fuck Steve.
And I'm like, "Hey, bro." And she goes, "He's actually a huge fan of yours. He's been following you for a long time. You made him want to be like a poker player or whatever." And I said, "Don't do it, you know, don't." And he goes, "Yeah, it's just really cool to meet you. Thank you for saying don't, whatever."
Yeah.
She looks at me and she goes, "He really needs a job. Do you know anywhere hiring?" And I'm like,
"Warm up, bitch."
Yeah, I'm like, I was like, I don't know, like, you know. And then she goes, "Well, he doesn't. He's on a visa. He's from Brazil or I don't know wherever he's from, so he has to like do cash." And I was like, "You ever heard of Ready Labor?" She's like, "No, what's that?" And I was like, "You just go in the morning, and there's like a list of companies hiring like a day worker, and if you're there, you get the job, and it's only for the day." And he was like just down to do whatever to make money, and I just saw like, we're in this incredible environment with some incredibly wealthy people, some incredibly not wealthy people, but the social credits, because of her, but whatever, he still got to enjoy this thing. And it was so fun, you know, and the social credits brought him way further than the financial credits.
Yeah, because you can't buy tickets to that show.
Yeah, he literally has no money. He's about to go to ready labor and like get a job as a day laborer for like $50 cash, right?
Yeah.
But he was still in this environment where, you know, me and whoever else that could have bought our way in theory were there, but we all at the same time, no matter.
Yeah.
It was just you were invited because you
yeah.
were a cool person or the social credits or whatever it was, and we just had a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is interesting, and it's but I mean it makes. I guess it makes sense when you really think about it, but it probably shouldn't make sense. Like the money should be what talks, but
I think if I just had to make up a response, right? I guess I have two trains of thought. The first is that the people with social credits basically have the social credits because they're really great in social environments, you know, like they're really cool people, which is what made them famous, right? Like they're like have interesting situations and you're like, wow, that's interesting to me. I want to know more, be around that or be in that. Yeah. So like that's one reason to get invited. And the other is the social credits make the people with the financial credits more financial credits. Yeah. Because like the guy with the boat, right? Yeah. He would have never have been friends with whatever celebrities are on the yacht if it wasn't for him paying for it. Yeah. Now he's friends with them. And he's going to go to them later and say, hey guys, I'm going to throw another one of those parties. But this time, do you mind making a post on social media with my new water company? Whatever, whatever it is. Yeah. So he's going to make more money off that. Yeah. So I think it kind of works itself out.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. So you were leaving as well straight after the podcast to the Poker World Series.
Last time. Okay,
in June.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
How was that?
I did not win a world championship. Not even close, actually. But I had a lot of fun.
That's good.
I gained a lot of experience because although I am from the gambling world, I'm not specifically from the poker world. I'm actually a newbie in poker specific. So for me, this was...
Because Baccarat's your OG.
Yeah, right. And so coming to the poker world, I'm still like I would say at best like pro-am. You know what I mean? And so to play with all like the super pros, all like the Eli Tomacs and Chase Sextons, it's like you learn so much incredibly faster and like hands-on and in ways that like you couldn't even possibly be taught otherwise. Yeah. And I also played excellently, and I know that. And I reference a lot of my hands to like my coaches and my super pro buddies, and I'm like, what would you have done here? They're like, I would do this. I go, that is what I did, and I lost. And they go, that's gambling.
Well, that's playing poker.
Yeah, so I have no regrets. There's nothing I could have done differently in any of the plays I made. It just happened the way it happened, you know?
Yeah. How was it going back this time? Like, does it feel like every year you get a little bit like bigger profile in the game and stuff like that? Or like, is it like a different, it's like, I don't know, year on year when you're in shit, like you go, every year you go to Anaheim 1, it's like, I don't know, maybe you feel a little bit more accustomed, you feel a little bit more, you got a bit more of a profile, you're doing more media, like there's more kind of shit going on.
I actually feel more uncomfortable every time I go back to that because I'm unsure profile wise if I'm bigger, the same, smaller. Maybe people don't even like really care that much.
Don't give a fuck.
Yeah. So I'm like not sure how to approach it, you know? And then I see like like every year, like more and more people trying to engage with me. And then I'm like, what do you want? Like, I don't know. Do you think I'm cool? Do you think it's cool we're at the same table? Do you, maybe you want to prove to everyone that you can beat me? And then like now you're like this weird enemy against me that I don't even know that we're enemies. Yeah. And it's this weird thing. And then I have all of the media channels always following me around with a camera. Like every gambling company has ESPN and whatever, you know, whoever it is, they're constantly following me with cameras, constantly trying to get me for interviews, which I'm not against. Like, I think it's really flattering that all these people want to know my thoughts, but I'm always like nervous to say the wrong thing. Like even like now a little bit, you know? And in poker specific, it's like such like it's like right now, if you're representing yourself as a professional motocross commentator and people want to ask you motocross questions, like you're going to get scrutinized from the motocross community, on every verb you say. Yeah. And so when I'm in these like poker environments and they like randomly throw a microphone on me and they're like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. So
I think people just appreciate authenticity though, you know?
Yeah, but I don't know. Something I'm working through is this concept of like negativity. I logically understand that as a public figure, there will always be negativity. I knew that before it even happened to me. Like I just knew, like,
yeah, it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, and then when it started happening to me, I took it really personal, and those words like almost spoke louder to me than anything else, and that sort of directed me. I was almost like not being controlled by it, but I almost wanted to redirect myself towards it, you know, and address and things like this and engage, and I think. More recently, like I really started to, like when I say like I don't care, like I think I really started to enter like the like, I really don't care, you know. And every time like the mic gets put on me, almost like my subconscious has like a knee reaction, like don't say anything that somebody can like throw in your face later, you know. So like when you catch me off guard, I don't know, I'm just rambling. I'm gonna stop saying words.
No, it's yeah. I mean, I it is a hard one, but I think that, yeah, like what people eventually like about a person, I think, is just when they're being themselves. You know, I think it's definitely hard. It's definitely hard not to want to like warp and change and just like kind of path of least resistance. You know what I mean? But then I think you end up getting caught in like a weird cycle of like, fuck, which Mikki am I supposed to be right now? And it's like that to me, let's say you be that Mikki. That is constantly, and this goes for everyday people in everyday life. Like how many people are like super different when they're around their mother-in-law,
right?
Or you know, like their parents, or their it's just like they're never really fully them. Maybe it's just them and their wife, like are the people that they're really around each other, and then they just like go and put on a mask I got to put on this mask to go to this place. I got to put on this mask to go to work. Like I just think that you've already gone so far to be like this unique person. Like you've got this crazy unique story. You've lived this crazy unique life. Like I feel like the easiest way for you forwards would just be to do you. Like you're not a bad person. You're not a piece of shit. Yeah. So it's like, and then I think people connect more with the.
I think it's actually quite the contrary. I think like most people like really love the fact that how like solid of a person I am and like good guy and like all this.
For sure.
Just to be like super like clear.
Yeah.
I actually started to really recognize that, like it's like this abundance of love and like yeah. And have you been watching my stories the last couple of weeks?
A little bit,
bro. My stories have been out of control. They've been hitting.
Which about the chicks and stuff.
Yeah.
We literally started talking about relationships, so it's like a good segue.
Yeah, bro. So okay, so I started. You know, people always said like, "Oh, he only posts about his wins, stuff like that," which is first of all has never been true. I have always been very like.
You went on like a bit of a 3-day loss bender.
Yeah.
For a while there.
Yeah, so I lost way more than I had intended on losing. This is like 2 weeks ago.
How much did you lose?
I'm not sure I'm supposed to say yet. On live TV / like social media, I said that I lost $500,000. Yeah. I don't want to say what the full amount is because there's another reason to it, but anyway, so we can just say $500,000 if you want, you know. But whatever the number was more than I had budgeted to lose that particular week, right? And I posted about it. And, you know, I always post about losses, but the thing is like, if I'm playing table games, which is what I generally play, if I lost, the only thing I can do is take a photo of an empty table.
Yeah. It's not much of a post.
When the chips are gone, they're like...
Yeah. What am I showing?
Yeah, exactly. And I made a post like 2 years ago, literally a video, and I'm like, I know you guys want me to show you my losses, so here you go. And it's just like an empty table, and I'm like, I hope you're happy now. You know?
Yeah.
But so I went into depth talking about these losses, like how I felt emotionally about it, mentally, what I'm going to do to like move forward, how do I cope with it. And I went on for like 3 days, just like really diving deep, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is great because I can stop posting about money. Because I think it's honestly corny. I think like the money thing is like money and gambling. Like, I don't know. I just think it's like, it gets old. I think it's corny personally. But obviously people love it. They're the huge consumers of it. But for me, it's like, I don't know. I'm like more than just a card player, you know?
Yeah.
So then it gave me a chance to be funny and like it gave me a chance to post anything I wanted.
Yeah.
And I always say like if I can start over, I would never even tell anybody I gambled. I just want to be funny on the internet.
Yeah.
And it gave me a chance to like start over, and I just been pure jokes. So I don't know, it's been like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Just pure jokes, and they are just hitting, bro. They're just hitting.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it.
Yeah.
And you've had the girlfriend hunt as well.
Yeah.
How's that going?
That's so funny. That's so funny you say that.
We couldn't be further up. Like, we're sitting opposite each other, and we couldn't be further apart in like our relationship life too.
Sure.
So I'm like vicariously just gonna live through you for a little bit,
bro. I've been posting so many naked girls. But I think I do it in the best way I've ever seen on the internet. I really got to give it to myself. I think it's the best. I think it's so funny, just the way I've been like slipping them in there like every day or whatever. And that was kind of what the phone call was just now when I came in, right? So I was like, and 2 interviews came out this morning on me, like podcasts that I did. And in one of them, I tell a story about this porn star that gave me my buddy a blowjob and then cut my buddy's hair. And my buddy's like a celebrity barber, right? Like I don't even know what he was thinking. So I told the story about it. I happened to be with that porn star today, like right before I came here. That's who I was with. So we watch it. She films it. She posts it. And I was like, that's a funny post. I'm going to repost it. So I reposted the video that she took of me talking about her giving me my buddy a blowjob. And then I was like, dang, I kind of think that's too much. It's like kind of aggressive, you know? But it's so funny. So I'm trying to figure out like where the line is between like humor and entertainment and like what I really want to portray. Because my fear is, because every day I've been posting a different naked girl for like the last few weeks, even though I think it's funny, and I'm sure it is, whatever. And it's really cool, like entertainment to consume, I think. But like, where's the line where I'm just like slowly going to cut myself off from the connection of like the girl that I'm actually looking for? Like all the girls I meet on the internet are great. They're smoking hot. Most of them are like 10s. They're down to get down. They're like wonderful to like be around. But like the girls that I consider actually like settling down.
Yeah, your wife's like chilling in Nebraska somewhere.
Yeah, and I meet a lot of those girls like on the road or like when I'm just out around, right? Some of them don't know who I am, so they just think I'm some guy. We hit it off, and like sometime down the line, they're like, "Hey, do you have social media?" And I'm like, "Yeah, And then they follow and they see like every single day is another naked girl on my page, hanging out with me or whatever. And like I have like I don't know how the right way to say this. I have like a decent roster. So like I have to go like to every single one and be like, hey, it's not what you think. Like I'm making content. I'd love if you want it.
That's the big problem with it all.
Yeah, and it becomes like a headache.
Too much fucking time and energy.
Yeah, and like I have to make sure I don't skip any, because if I skip any, what happens is they want to ghost me and I forgot about them. A month goes by and I'm like, whatever happened to this one? And I'm like, oh my God, and I got to catch up. And she's like, oh, I seen you with all these girls, so like what am I doing? And I'm like, no, and it's just...
It's a whole thing.
It's like Future says, treat all your girls like you're in a relationship, but it's really wearing.
What's the Valentine's Day is the worst day when you're a player, like you know that Future song, dude. It's like Valentine's the worst day. Got too many to please or some shit. He's just like singing about like all the bitches that he's got. I ain't built for that life, bro.
It's tough. It's tough.
I'm done on that.
I'm trying to be like you. I'm trying to get married. I really am. And so what I've done recently.
I'd been married a week though when we first did the podcast.
Oh, you just got married? I didn't even know. Congrats.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, it was like 20 May, like right, like literally the week before we did the pod.
Wow, congratulations.
But yeah, so I mean, take all of my relationship advice. Like I've got this far, but like let's be honest, I'm not exactly fucking.
You definitely got further than me, so I'm sure I have something to learn. No question. But I am actively seeking marriage. Like I'm dating to marry now. I'm not just dating for sex or for fun or any of that. So what I've done actually recently is I have cut off every like female, like I stopped texting, and if anybody texts or DMs me that like I already have like a fling with, as soon as I find any, like, if they give me an inch, I'm just taking that door, like, I'm building all the separation I can, So I basically cut everybody off. I'm, like, big chilling. Like, it's so draining. Like, every night to be with a different chick, it's just so much work, and I really need a break. And I took that break, and now I'm chilling, and I'm looking to date and marry.
So what's your, like, criteria for what's a wife material like for you?
This is so weird that this is the first thing I think of. But there's so much context to it. My first thing is they can't be a sex worker. I know that sounds
seems pretty like.
I know it sounds that way, but let me give you some context, right? Because you're not from here, so I'll tell you. Every girl that lives in LA or Vegas has some form of sex work. Almost 100% of them. Whether it's an OnlyFans, or they're a dancer, or they work poker, or they're like, even a bottle service girl is like questionable because they're just like party girls, and I just can't deal with it. It's just I've been through it. It's just too much. And it goes all the way to like being a hooker or tricking or being my ex or whatever it is. You know, in one form or another, you're all sex workers. And it's really hard to dodge that when I live in the two cities that have like the highest amount of sex workers. So it seems like obvious and it seems easy, but find me a single hot girl, like a dime, that lives in Los Angeles that doesn't make money off her looks. Yeah. Just find me one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's actually tougher than it may seem.
Yeah. There's so many. I've only been here a month, but I think I've been to like 6 states so far. And like, man, you roll through the airport in Nashville, just homegrown hotties, you know, like just those East Coast style girls. And then I was at Loretta's, so I was in Nashville again. It was just a couple of moto chicks. Well, you know Loretta's. Yeah. Just at Loretta's. It's like some sweet Georgia girls. And I'm just like, that's the fucking move, bro.
Regular hot girls.
Just regular hot American corn-fed chicks from like Atlanta, Nebraska. Like, I mean, there's so much. Like me and Anthony. You met Anthony, the producer here last time, and we were talking about it with him. He says the same thing. He's like, man, just the chicks here. He's in a different position, right? So there's the position you're in. Like, you're a public figure, fucking poker player, betting millions. Like, that's very appealing to a chick. Sure. That there's like a chick that would happily walk into that life, right? Sure. And you've met a fuckload of them. But it's like, so that's you in LA. But then there's him in LA, which is just like a dude that has a job and doesn't play poker, doesn't make millions of dollars. So he goes and he's talking to these same chicks, and he's like, dude, first thing they ask, what do you do? And he's just like, fuck. Can like just some girls start a question that doesn't have to do with like, how much money do you make?
Not in LA though, and that's what it is here. And it's really tough, you know, and especially if they see me online, you know. But like, yeah, bro, if you can, bro, I swear to God, if you can find me a single hot girl that doesn't make her money off her looks, that lives in LA, like I'll probably marry her right now. I don't even need to know her last name.
Dude, it's just there's like this infinite choice when you're single. Like, this would be the main thing. I guess the main difference getting married is like, at least for me, you live in this world of just infinite possibilities, and it's like you just can get lost in the sauce. Like, every day you can be with a new chick. Oh, this chick has like this tiny little red flag. Fucking done. Next. Yeah. You know, and it's like you are so spoiled for choice that it becomes a problem. You know, and it's like, it's the same thing with just like, it's the same thing that causes so much depression in people is like, oh, life's so short. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to go there. I've got to, you know, like options and possibilities actually aren't as great as they seem, you know. And then as soon as you're locked in one person, that's it. Like, you're not getting out of this. You've signed some papers. You've stood in front of all your friends and family. Like, it takes all those options off the table. It takes all of the thinking out of it. There's just like, you just eliminate this whole, like, imagine right now if you just cut chasing pussy out of your life completely. The time, the freedom, the bandwidth, freedom. Like, you literally are free. And it's like, for me, for years, it was the opposite, where I'm like, the opposite of freedom is getting married. Like, you're with this one chick your whole, like, where's the freedom in that? But it's like what it frees up in your mental capacity and just your physical time. To just have that one. And then when you have a person, like, I'm super lucky in my relationship, like, I literally have a partner that works for us. Like, we have like we have a family, and she works for us. She works on us. So it's like, I've just doubled so I've taken all those distractions away, and I've cut all that. I've freed up all this time, and that person that did all that also does all this extra shit that then gives you even more time. Like, it's just such a crazy, different way to live a life. And I think it's like undersold, you know?
I
and
agree.
I was even that guy. I never wanted to get married.
I agree with you 100%. And everybody refers to being in the relationship as like a prison and being single as the freedom.
Yeah.
I think they're wrong. Listen like this. If you're on a trip, let's say, because that's the only time you'd be away from your wife, right? You only have one good morning text to send, you know, versus a guy who's like being a player, he's got 10 to send, and then he has to respond to all 10. And you know, when I was like out there, again, I cut off all the women recently, but when I was really out there, like juggling or whatever, I got so tired of every day having to schedule the other one for a different event and forgetting which one I repeated and which one I didn't. And they all want to have the same conversation. It's the same thing. And I can't remember when I was in like a committed relationship, I had enough trouble remembering all the details of her life. And I got to do it with 10 girls. It's like a lot. Yeah. And you know, and it is wearing. And it's like, they always throw like it must have been another girl, whatever. And with me, they were like, yeah, they were usually right, you know. And I'm like, all right, well, just give me the answer then. You know what I mean? You know, what is your favorite color?
Yeah. Also, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, but they want to feel that connection. They want to like get to know each other. And I'm like, how many times can I tell somebody what my favorite food is? Like, how many girls am I gonna share this? What my favorite food is? How old I am? Where I'm from? What my mom's name is? Like, how many times am I gonna?
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
You only have one good morning text to send, and the rest of your day is free, and that sounds nice.
It is not. But, I mean, yeah, I think that there's definitely, I don't know, there's an element of being a player that I think you got to do, or at least it was for me. Like, I definitely think that you got to go through that. And I never wanted to be the guy that got married and thought like, oh, there's this whole list of shit I've never done. Like, oh man, imagine if I wanted to be like to have I just never wanted to be old and going through that thought process, you know what I mean? So I don't know. There's definitely a balance to it.
You did those things though, no?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah. I went
Been there, done there, seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't really change.
Yeah. Exactly. It's so funny. I swear to God, every time I feel like pressure to do something that I don't necessarily want to do, like you know, like two girls call me like, hey, can we both come over and fool around? I'll be like, oh, I can't say no. You know, like I it's against the rules. And then I'm like stuck in the situation. They leave and I'm like, I could have easily have just done a solo mission on my own and just gone right to bed. I don't have to deal with like the 2 hours before and the 2 hours after and the cleanup. I don't have to, you know, and like every time I'm like, why did I do that?
At the end of like being single, I used to just basically like jerk off. And I'd have a rule that if I still wanted to fuck the chick after I jerked off, then I would fuck the chick. And dude, not very often I wanted to fuck the chick.
All right, so true fact, bro, one of my favorite things is jerking off. I prefer jerking off over almost any other hobby I have, including sex with women. When you have sex with women, there's just so much extra stuff. Yeah. When you jerk off, there's nothing.
It's pretty mellow.
You throw on whatever video you want, whatever you're feeling at that moment. Yeah. You're laying in your bed by yourself.
Reddit, one-handed. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, just vibing. You know, I like to vape, so I'll be vaping in my left hand. You know, beating in my right hand. Whatever I got playing on the TV or what have you, and then as soon as I'm done, I just go to sleep. Yeah. I don't gotta walk nobody out.
Fuck,
I ain't gotta do that awkward conversation. I ain't gotta worry about.
Wonder if she's gonna sleep there. Yeah. You don't have to think about breakfast.
Oh my God, I don't have to call the driver.
She ain't gonna steal one of your fucking t-shirts. Oh, you ever had a bitch walk out with a fucking $300 t-shirt, bro? Not worth it.
I have the same conversation. We get done and they're like, "Hey, do you have like an oversized t-shirt?" The thing is, all my shirts are oversized, so like obviously, right? Yeah. You can't say no. Well, I thought I used to not be able to say no. So then I started to say,
now you're like, bitch, just put a blanket over yourself.
Yeah. I'd be like, yes, I do. Over there, I have like a pile of like my dirty, like
just
not like
ass blanks.
Yeah.
These are the fucking
like the Hanes white tees, right? Yeah. And they'd be like, well, can I wear a different one? And I'd be like, look, this is where it got. At some point, I got so frustrated. I have the same conversation. I says, look, I will let you wear any shirt you find in my closet. Just understand, under no circumstance am I going to allow you to leave my house in it. And they go, what do you mean? Like, that's rude. And I go, no.
You stealing my t-shirt is fucking rude.
They always say the same thing. They go, I'm not going to take it. And then I say, that's what they all say. I say, you're not leaving this house with my shirt on. I said, either you put a white shirt on and I'll never even think about it, whether you steal it or you don't, or I let you go in my closet, but understand that I will confront you before I walk you out of my house. Yeah. And it's always the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just like, it got to a point I just can't handle it.
Dude,
I was like, you're taking my favorite shirts. And I have like half my closet still has tags on it. I buy a lot of stuff and I won't take the tags off till I'm ready to wear it.
Yeah.
So they go and put on brand new shirts that I've never even worn before, and I know they're going to steal them.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're thinking. I don't know what they think. Like, I don't know.
They have to know.
Maybe they think it's a form of connection.
Yeah.
Like they can look at it later on and be like, "Yeah, he hit it and quit it, but I
got something from him."
Yeah, I feel connected. You know, he gave me his brand new shirt or whatever it is. I
just think they just straight up be fucking jacking shit. And like
thievery.
They feel it's just straight thievery, and like feeling good about it. Like, there's nothing worse than a chick leaving your fucking house in one of your favorite t-shirts.
You want to hear a bad story about that, actually?
Yes.
All right, so there's this porn star that I used to hang out with very, very often. She was like one of the homies, right? She ended up like switching up like how she like does work. So now she basically just travels full time. So I haven't seen her in like a long time, like 9 months.
So she just does OnlyFans?
No, she does. I think she gets paid to make appearances at like clubs. She's got like a fairly recognizable name in the industry, right? So it's like that. So she's not like in LA just like shooting porn all day. I think she's just like gets paid to travel basically.
Yeah.
One of the last times I seen her, we had like this big gangbang, and all the girls, it was at my house, and all the girls were like, we came back from a night out, right? And all the girls were like, hey, can we have some sweats? And I was like, dang, that's a lot of sweats. You know, I was like, if these get stolen, I took a hit in my I took a hit in the wardrobe. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So I'm trying to like very carefully allocate who gets what set of sweats. And this one porn star came up and she's like, can I wear those sweatpants? Let me tell you the story of these sweatpants. I lose 50 grand one time. This is like way back in the day when I first like really started gambling like relatively big. I'm like still a kid. I lose 50 grand at Brigada, and I go to Brigada and I'm like, hey, like, can I have something? Like let me leave here with something, you know? Yeah. And they're like, okay, go to our gift shop and you have like $200 to spend or like whatever it was. And I picked a pack of Hugo Boss white V-necks. Mind you, I don't even wear V-necks.
You ain't ever wearing a V-neck.
Never worn in my life. And one pair of black Hugo Boss sweatpants. So for 50 grand, I got this pair of black sweatpants. And every time I wear them, I say to myself, I paid 50 grand for these sweatpants.
That's right? Fucking unreal.
She comes up and she goes, can I wear those sweatpants? And things I didn't really have enough other pairs to really like say anything. And I'm like, look, I want to express to you how valuable these sweatpants are to me.
It's cheaper for me to take your life than it is for you to buy these sweatpants. Yeah.
I'm like, you cannot steal these. And she was like I said, like the homie, she was inner circle, like really good friend. And she looked at me, she goes, I understand. I'm not going to steal them. I haven't seen them in 9 months.
Like,
she took them.
You ain't ever getting them back.
And I can't tell you, like, bro, like, I'm angry, not like angry, but it's like almost this like comical, like paradoxical anger. You know what I mean? Like I can't like.
You're probably mad at yourself.
Yeah, I mean, bro, those are $50,000 sweatpants that I told her not to steal, and she stole them, and that was it. That was the end of it. And they're not even worth $50K. Like she can't sell them for anything. You can sell them for $20 maybe, but I paid 50 grand for them. You know, I can't believe it.
Dude, that's like your granddad's Rolex, but in sweatpants.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Dude, that's so fucking funny. How did the whole like the loss feel for real though? Like the social media. Speaking of losing money on sweatpants, how did those losses actually feel away from the gram? Was that real?
Yeah.
So you were fucking off it.
Yeah, the $50K loss that I got the sweatpants for was so back way before social media.
No, like this recent one where you kind of like.
Well, I'll tell you this: like back then, to take a loss like that, mind you, I wasn't really an AP. Like I wasn't necessarily a winning player when I was a kid. Like, I mean, I might have been, but like I never like that wasn't like what I did for a living. You know what I mean? Like when I gambled, I didn't say to myself, "I'm favored to win." Like it wasn't like that. When I would take a loss like that, especially at that age, there was no way to, even if somebody who'd gone through it previously tried to prep me for it. The truth is there's no way to prep yourself for the feelings that come with that kind of loss.
Oh, dude, for sure.
When you lose gambling, especially as a kid, and I didn't make enough money to just lose $50K on a Tuesday and move on. That I wasn't,
and be sweet.
Yeah, and be sweet, exactly. And even if it was like a more reasonable amount, there's nothing you can do to prepare how you're going to feel. And there's no coaching in the world that's like, this is how you get out of that feeling. And it's so unique, and there's so much remorse and regret and
oh, dude,
there's so much. And as a kid with no experience in taking L's beyond my financial means, I can't ever express that kind of pain and self-hatred and self-loathing and self-torment, is like this. It's so
because
incredible.
you probably feel like a bit of a degenerate, really.
Yeah, I felt dirty and slimy and so depressed and so dark and heavy.
So how much did it fuck you up financially?
2 weeks ago?
No, are we still
Back
talking
then?
50 grand?
Probably. It was probably everything. Like when I lost that 50K, I don't exactly remember, but realistically, it was probably everything. Because if I had more, I probably would have bought in more and kept playing, trying to win it back.
Huh.
So it was probably like my entire net worth.
That's got to be like the dirty feeling where you're like, I just fucked myself.
Yeah, and this is what happens. And your brain immediately starts racing about all of the things you could have done with that 50 grand.
Oh, yeah.
Except give it away to a casino and have nothing to show for it. Except for a pair of sweatpants.
Except shame and fucking Hugo Boss pants.
Yeah. So that's like the biggest, it's just like oh man, it's so screwed up, that feeling and the thoughts behind it. And it lasts, it lingers. Like that hangover is long, and I'm not really sure how you get out of it. Actually, I don't even know looking back, because there were so many losses along the way. 2 weeks ago when I took the loss, it was more frustrating than anything else. It was like I was favored to win in that particular game, right? Like that lineup, I helped choose it. I helped choose the structure of the game. I would actually say I helped created it more than anybody else that was in the creation of it. Like this game was my game. It was like made for me. I was favorited, right? And my boy, he won the World Series last year. He played in it with me. I put him in the game. I was like, you're not necessarily good for the game because you're like a super pro where everybody else in the game is basically a wreck and like more loose with the cash. You're probably just going to come in and snipe everybody, but I'll put you in because you're my boy. And then he and I have our own friendship, we'll say, outside of the game. So he goes, yeah, I'll play. Not only did I absolutely get shredded, so did he.
Fuck.
And it was unbelievable. And I'm thinking well, if I lose, at least he'll win and it'll work itself out in one way or another, and if he loses and I win, we'll
figure it out.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We both got shredded, and he won the World Series of Poker last year.
That's so gnarly.
Yeah, and we're playing in a game that's it's like a game for maniacs only. It's like almost all gamble. And I was like, how can you, it's like running into a wall at full speed and being like, okay, this time it has to break, and you run back in and it doesn't break again. And you just do that for 8 hours on live TV, And the whole thing was on live TV. So it was there's so many clips of it. And every time I open my phone, it's another time. Oh, there's another clip of me on TV just getting shredded. And, pissed me off a lot, really did. But it was way different than when I lost that 50K as a kid.
Oh, it'd have to feel different.
It's so different. Not only have I been maybe desensitized a little or maybe more aware, but the way I went into it, I was like, this is roughly my budget of loss. And if I lose this, it doesn't affect anything in my life. Yeah. Where back then, it was everything. It was probably my rent money was in that 50K probably,
Yeah.
So now it's I still have everything else I'm going on in life. I just have, for the sake of record purposes, 500K less. You know what I'm saying? So whatever. But it pissed me off because I was favored to win. And it was just
yeah, because you're probably more at the sport level of poker now, where it's the cash probably, obviously any athlete, you're trying to win the cash.
Yeah.
But it's the loss probably feels more like a sporting loss than a degeneracy, I've fucked my life kind of loss. Exactly.
So it's still frustrating. It still pissed me off. It's still, $500,000 I gave away. And, I should have won $1 million. And instead I lost $500,000. So that's $1.5 million swing, in one day. Well, in 24 hours or whatever. But It pissed me off, but it had some positive too, because like I said, it gave me a clean slate. First, it gave me an opportunity to really address it, because all of my fans probably think that they're going to win gambling, and they probably see it in such a light that it looks so appetizing to them, whatever. They all end up losers, because almost everyone who gambles loses, right? That's why casinos are so nice. And then they're like, wait a second, I feel alone. I feel like I'm the only one.
Or they were like sold a dream.
Yeah, you know, and they feel all this. So it gave me a chance to like at quite some length really discuss, hey guys, like I always try to discourage gambling. Like there is a downside. Like don't have blinders on where you're only seeing the good posts I make and not the bad posts I make. I'm ramming losses down your throat right now. This needs to be addressed. You need to recognize, you know? So it gave me that opportunity, which I'm really grateful for, because I never want to hurt people. I'm not incentivized for people to gamble. I don't make money when someone gambles. It doesn't do anything for me, but it usually hurts them, and I don't want to hurt anybody. So it gave me a really nice chance to do that I'm grateful for. And the second thing I did, which in some ways applies equally, but also a little selfishly, it gave me a clean slate. Now I could post about anything, and like, you know, and I'm allowed to. There's no like pressure that I have to post about gambling. I have to post about winning or cash or money or whatever. So that's why I got to this be so funny. Like I let the humor through. Like it was a nice way for me to transition to that.
Yeah. And you're right about like gambling can be such a gross thing when it comes to like incentivizing people to lose, basically. Like when the whole like Steve will do it stuff was going down, and like a lot of the online gambling casinos and the crypto casinos and stuff, like basically those guys were getting paid off people's losses, basically, whether they knew it or not. When they like were kind of getting into the deal or whatever, like I don't think any of those guys are bad dudes, but there's definitely a way. Well, and they were just gambling with house money. So, like, they literally get sent lines of credit to just be, like, gambling online and making it look like it's their money, they're playing, you know. So, yeah, there kind of is, like, a pretty gross, dark side of the gambling industry when it comes to, like, influencers and people, you know, posting wins and playing with house money and, you know, like, so it's good that you're one of the dudes that kind of like always kept the, I don't know, like the conscience clean, or the, you know, in that lane. I'm
not incentivized one way or another, so like I don't like really care. Like I can post whatever and it has no effect like on me. Like it doesn't affect my financial, it doesn't affect my my relationships, you know. I'm kind of big chilling, you know.
Yeah, because it can be a weird place, because it's like when you're not on that side, like on the loser, the dude that's put in like $200, and $200 is like a lot of fucking money to that guy, you know. Yeah, there'd be so many people that like shouldn't gamble like just where their financial situation is, you know.
What I think happens a lot is, I'll bring it back a little to like the brick and mortar casinos, is they offer so much that's not gambling related, and the consumer doesn't know that they're actually being coerced and manipulated into gambling.
Oh, for sure. Vegas, 100%.
Yeah, so like they think they're just going to dinner. They think they're just going to a show. They think they're just whatever.
Yeah.
But the truth is everything about it was catered to redirect them to a table.
It's a funnel, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like both physically and metaphorically.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, you go to Vegas and it's free drinks if you're gambling. Mm-hmm. Drinks are fucking expensive. So then like just that one instance of right there is like people's own, and I've been that guy. I'm like, I'm just going to sit at a poker machine for a little bit, do minimum bets and like get a couple drinks, get a buzz, and then go to a club. You know, it's like, it's so set up for you to gamble and to lose. Like, dude, last time my wife had never been to a casino. We went for a friend's birthday and I lost like fucking $500 in like 20 minutes. I was like, this sucks. This is so shit. Why did I do this?
Yeah. And then you're like, okay, I want to win it back. Like one good, if I can lose it, I could win it.
Yeah.
You know, and then now you're down 1,000, and then you're getting the free drinks, and now you're a little sauced, and you're like, oh, I'm already here. You know, I'm down 1,000, and then next thing you know, you're wasted and lost your rent.
Yeah. It's fucking, it can happen. So you talked about as well before, It was kind of like when you first did the pod, we were talking about you being banned from casinos. Like you kind of went on a run and then they just like shut the gates on you. I was watching something recently with Dana White. He said that he's not like banned from the casino, but just basically can't play the limits that he wants to play. So like, how does one go about being banned from a casino in the way that you were?
Well, with Dana, what it is specifically, it's alleged he's a card counter, right? So he's a sharp in blackjack, an AP blackjack player. So when you're a card counter, for example, and I'm not putting that label on Dana, you know, if you want his opinion, you can ask him. But in theory, if somebody was accusing him of being a card counter, they're like, well, you're going to lose at all the other games because you're not AP at the other games, only blackjack. So we're going to cap your bets. We're going to limit your bets. You have to flat bet. Or, hey, you can't play blackjack. Or, hey, we don't want you playing games, but like you didn't do anything wrong or illegal, so you're still welcome.
Yeah.
For me, some casinos let me in, some don't. Some I got to call ahead and they'll either say yes or no, and there's like context or politics behind it. They're unsure how it is that I was winning at all the games that I played, particularly Baccarat. That was like the base of all of it. I made the most there, but they also let me bet the most there. If they let me bet the most at other particular games, maybe I would have won even more there. Yeah. They're like, we just don't know what's happening.
So what kind of bets what was a big bet for you?
I bet $250,000 a hand, every hand on Baccarat.
Fuck.
I bet $75K a hand per hand in a blackjack shoe, which is 6-deck, or $50,000 a hand in double deck. And the truth is, I don't really play 6-deck. I play double. So in real life, the real answer is I play $250,000 a hand Baccarat and $50,000 a hand in blackjack.
Yeah. And that was enough for them to be like, fuck all this.
Yeah, and I even won in like some of the carnival games. I mean, whatever. I figured out a lot of their systems. It's like not, I mean, like, whatever. Yeah, basically. They're like, you're just a liability.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they basically, you went on like a run. I'm just trying to like recap the story for people. Yeah. So it's like you pretty much just go on like this crazy run in Vegas and then you basically just get shut down.
Yeah. So roughly over the span of 3 years, I went from zero to, a few tens of millions, all coming out of the Vegas casinos. So in a 3-year span, they're like, he's not losing as much as he's supposed to be. Matter of fact.
So they would know, like, okay, if this guy's betting roughly this much money, this is the odds of what he'd win and what he'd lose if he was a normal player.
Exactly. Okay. So, because, there's people that'll win a lot one weekend, come back and then lose a lot.
Just get hosed.
Yeah, and they're like, the casino looks at it and goes, that's fair. Yeah. He won some, he lost some. Yeah. But if a guy comes and he wins 6 times and loses 1, comes back 6 more times, wins them all, and then loses 1, they're like, this is not mathematically probable.
Yeah.
He must be doing something, outside of our realm to disadvantage us or advantage himself. Yeah. And that's a problem gambler to the casino.
Yeah, okay.
So over 3 years, I went from nothing to a few tens of millions, all from the casinos, and they saw it as a problem.
Yeah. So what did you, like, because you'd always been gambling, it was in your family, like your grandparents were gambling, like, so it was something that, or would you even say gambling, or would you just say like playing those games?
Gambling was always in my life. Like, I grew up in like New York City card rooms, and they played like super high stakes rummy. And there's like a million types of rummy, but whatever, rummy, right? And
it's like gin rummy.
There's gin rummy. There's so I grew up playing Hungarian rummy, which is a multi-person version of rummy. Yeah. I forget the name now. My friend owns the World Series of Gin Rummy, and the exact type of gin rummy they play is what like me and all my friends play now, but I forget exactly what's it called. Omaha rummy? I forget. Don't even quote me. I forget exactly the name of this one. Anyway, there's many types. And the type in like the World Series, for example, is a heads up game. But the Hungarian version is multi-way, and it's used with 2 decks. So like I learned like that, and then on the weekends I'd go with my grandparents to Atlantic City. I'd see my grandfather rolling dice, so I learned craps, and then my grandfather's 2 friends, one was a blackjack player and one was a roulette player. So I learned those games as well, just as a kid. But I never like thought about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it would have been games to you as opposed to gambling. Yeah. At the start.
Yeah, like I didn't know that it wasn't normal. I didn't know that it wasn't regular. It's just, like every day of my life I was surrounded by gambling. Yeah. Monday through Thursday we were in New York City card rooms. Friday, Saturday, Sunday we were in Atlantic City casinos. I don't know anything else. I didn't know,
Yeah. And so this 3-year run though.
Yeah.
So you're like gambling a little bit before this, or like how does you decide to like take it seriously to where you like go on that run? Do you remember like when that run started, what you were thinking, what your headspace was at?
I remember. So something else is like, I'm sure it's in the first half, that I spent like my whole like adolescence racing moto.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. All that's still there.
Yeah. So any time that we were in town, we would just gamble, like as a neighborhood kids. This is what we did. And my buddies, like my friends in like elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever, would travel with me and my family to the races. It'd just be like, fun to bring a friend along.
Yeah.
So even traveling, we'd bring decks of cards and gamble every single day, you know? And then if I was not traveling for moto, New York City card rooms, Atlantic City, right? Yeah. So it's just what it was. And in my neighborhood, everybody gambled. And I remember, I think I was in, I want to say 8th grade. And it was Super Bowl. And I remember that all of us were gambling at my boy Ryan's house, and his mom was one of those moms that like encouraged it. Like she's like, "You boys have fun, do your thing," and she would like cook like, you know, homemade Rice Krispie treats. I remember they're so good too, and like bring them out and like serve us food throughout Super Bowl. So we'd always rotate who wanted to be house, who wanted to be a player, and I said I'll house, and someone else was like I'll partner with you. So the two of us put our bankroll together and housed. And I remember we were crushing it. Somebody else said I want to be house, but we had a full game going. So he goes, "I'll house you," and I'm like, "Okay, no sweat." At the same time, I said, if you do that, I'm going to book all of our friends' Super Bowl bets, right? So I ended up winning. Okay, let me slow down. So I played him heads up. He dealt me in blackjack for like, I don't know, like 2 hours. And I just absolutely crushed. It was like it was like he was dealing me face up, right?
Yeah.
I had like min bet any losing hand, max bet every winning hand. Like I made every right move. Then me and my boy who were housing the rest of the casino, whatever, the games, we cleaned up. All the other players lost. And then the Super Bowl came on and we dominated as a sportsbook, right? Yeah. And I remember me and my partner, we went onto Ryan's stairs so we can like get privacy from everybody, and we counted all the cash, and it was just like, it was like ungodly. You know, we're like in 8th grade and talking, for sure 5 figures, you know? And it was like, we're just 8th graders with no jobs. And we're like, yo, This is it. This is cool.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I do remember that memory for sure. So that was, I guess, starting in 8th grade where I was like, this is doable.
Yeah, and then so to go on that 3-year run, like what leads up to you kind of getting that happening to where you can take tens of millions from Vegas casinos?
Sure. So I had some businesses. I lived in Miami. When I sold the businesses, I was like, what's next? I had never lived in LA. I did have a concept for a new business idea, something that to this day I haven't seen, and it's really a phenomenal idea. And the best like target market would be Los Angeles County. I don't want to share what it is, 'cause I don't want anyone to steal it, but it involves needing a very like high medium income town and a very low medium income town as comparison. And LA obviously has the extremes of both right near each other. So it made perfect sense for me to set up shop on my new business concept in LA. And I'd never lived in LA. So I sold my businesses in Florida, and I had done pretty well with that. And I moved out to LA, and just before it's supposed to start, I dragged my feet in the beginning, and then COVID hit. Yeah. And when COVID hit, like all of us got scared, and we're like, we don't want to commit any money to it. Like all good. Like we all got enough to live. Like we're just going to chill and see what happens. But Vegas was like Nevada was like the last state minus Florida and maybe Texas to like put any restrictions in. Yeah. And the ones they put were like the most minimal. They were like anti-COVID restriction.
Yeah.
So they kept the casinos open and like whatever. I was new to LA. I didn't really know that many people. I had my one homie, and he's like, let's just go to Vegas. They're still open. You know what I mean? And so we started going to Vegas. And I think we'd already been going to Vegas before COVID, but only like for whatever.
Yeah.
But now that it's COVID, there's nothing to do in LA at all. I think
the worst.
Yeah, for like a while, I think they said you'd be arrested if you left your house or something. And I was like, I ain't beat for all that. I'm going to Vegas. We were going to Vegas once a week. Then we ended up living. We moved into the all the like there's like secret villas in like every casino. We moved into them. We started living in them and just gambling all the time. In the beginning of the journey, we were just going for fun. We were like, we just want to party and like COVID and like whatever. So we have to go somewhere else and meet girls and have a good time and like listen to music and whatever. So we're going once a week. I'm a degenerate gambler and he's a degenerate gambler. We're like, let's gamble.
This is us.
Yeah, this is us. We had money and like whatever. I did not go thinking I'm going to win or I'm going to go this weekend and I'm going to make money. I'm literally saying to myself, let's go to Vegas.
This is going to be a good place to ride this COVID shit out.
Yeah, it's a good place to ride it out. That's it. We're going to have some fun. We'll spend a couple of bucks. It'll all be worth it. Well, what ended up happening was I won. Okay, cool. Go back the next week. Let's party again. We party again. I won again. And I'm winning and it's becoming profitable. And I'm like, wait a second. This is cool, you know? I'm happy to have lost the money I won, but instead I won. Cool. So then I go, you know, what happens if I add a 0 to my buy-in? Let's try it. We add a 0. Well, I still won, and my cash outs added a 0. Yeah. And now I'm winning $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 a week. And I'm like, yo, this is something.
Real.
Like this is real, you know? And I'm like, we need to look at this. This is not a game anymore. This is no more jokes. This ain't about coming to Vegas for pussy. This is like, I don't even need to open a new business. What's happening?
Yeah.
You know? So like the first year I would go and I'd bring like 20 or 30,000, happy to lose it 20 to 30 a week just to have the good time I was having. But instead I was winning 20, 30, sometimes 50,000, right? So now let's just pretend conservatively 20,000 I was winning, right? So I'm going to Vegas once a week. I'm meeting new girls. I'm going out. I'm having fun. Everything in LA shut down and I'm still making 20K a week. Sick.
Yeah,
they're paying me to party.
You're living. Yeah.
Then let's call it in year number 2, I add a 0. So now I'm making, again, conservatively, 200K a week. So now I'm making 200K a week, still having the same fun, but everything is leveling up. Now instead of getting the penthouse, I'm getting the presidential. Instead of them giving me a limo, they gave me a Maybach. Instead of, you know, paying for my JSX flight or reimbursing me for a private flight, they're just giving me a private jet, you know? So it's all like leveling up and I'm still making 200K a week.
So it was cool with the casinos at the start.
Yeah, for the first year and a half. It was about 18 months in where they started to get a little shaky and they started dropping off and fighting back.
Yeah.
So like somewhere through year number 2 of making, you know, we'll say 200K a week, some of them started fighting me and changing rules and this and like adding implications and challenging me and cutting me off, some of them with, you know, before the second year was even over. We get to year number 3 and now I don't have a single buy-in less than $3 million and I'm not losing less than $3 million on a trip. And that's when I started having the 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, $11 million weekly wins. And that's really where it all started to implode on itself.
Dude, I can't comprehend how fucking fun that would have been.
It was really crazy.
Just so much fun to be walking out of there with that much cash. Like literally just bricks and bricks and bricks of cash.
Yeah.
Pussy everywhere. Fucking dude, that's a good time to go through.
And you know what it helped me do, sort of? This is the thing. I'm a punk rock kid my whole life. I grew up in moto. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So kids who don't go to moto are the type of kids that like to go to a nightclub on a Friday and Saturday. If they got a table, they think they're the most balling dude in the club and like pop a bottle or two, right? The kids who do moto, they like going to concerts and like breaking stuff and they like fires and like having no shirt on and getting dirty. Yeah. So for me, like I'm in the world of everybody that wants to go to the club and flex money, but I just want to take my shirt off and light something on fire. You know?
Yeah.
So now I'm like in charge. I got the money, like the party's around me. And so when I party the way I want to party, not the way like everyone else does.
And you weren't doing drugs at this point.
No drugs, right? Yeah. And so for me, like if you guys want to go to a club, go. I can care less. Go to the club. Me, I'm gonna bring a couple ramps into my villa. I got my BMX homies on the way. We're gonna do backflips into the pool and like hang out with the girls. Yeah. So all of a sudden, like those kids were like, well, we want to be around you because you're up and popping or whatever. They see like the kind of way I like to party. They're like, wow, this is actually way sicker than going to a club and having a pissing match where we're all wearing the same stupid button-down shirt. We all have the exact same pair of sneakers on. And we're all wearing the exact same Rolex or AP. That's probably fake anyway. Yeah. We can just be ourselves, take our shirt off. Who cares what we're wearing? Let's get dirty, right? And it became like this rock star movement, bro. Like anywhere that me and my group went and partied and turned up was like dirt bikes, BMX, skateboarding, fires, no shirt, like getting dirty. And it was like, I don't know another card player in history that became his own rock star. Yeah. Any card player I know is usually like kind of like a, you know, math guy, a dorky guy, a nerdy guy, button up guy, you know, goes to the club, pops a bottle once a month. gets laid, that one night a month and like thinks it's the tits.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, bro, like if I was the lead singer of a band, my life would look the exact same as it looks right now, you know? And like, I'd like to say, I don't know if I can do it humbly, so I don't know if I can quite stand behind this, but I like to think that I'm like the card player's first rock star, you know, and I don't know, the way we partied, man, and still do, but it's a little different now, but it was such it was like unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like a season. Like you just put in like this crazy 3 seasons. Yeah. But it's like, I mean, I don't know, probably a something that made it special is that it like did have to come to an end in a sense, because like dude, how you just don't want to be that guy that's just living in that same vortex for fucking 10 years, 20 years.
You never evolve. You never. Not only would I never evolve, but that particular industry is so challenging. Like eventually I'm going to take a loss that's beyond my means. You know what I mean? Like there's things that are going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the best things and worst things, double-sided coin, was when they cut me off. And I parked all that money somewhere safe, and it's growing on its own. It's going to grow for the rest of my life and generationally. And anything I do on the side is just like free cash I had to just dick off and light on fire, you know? And it's helping me evolve totally as a human being, because how long can I party? How long can I do those things? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know, but it was, those 3 seasons were really, they were so cool, man. They were cool.
Oh, dude, yeah, I can't even imagine. Yeah. So before you were saying, talking about Dana White card counting, why is it illegal? Like,
well, it's not illegal. It's not illegal. No, it's not illegal.
Okay.
So this is this is a great thing you said. So this is a huge thing people don't understand. There's a difference in between doing something illegal and doing something against casino rules, right? If it's illegal, such as cheating is illegal. That is an actual crime. If you are cheating, you will go to prison, and your first offense is up to 5 years. You're not getting a walk. You're not getting probation. I mean, it's a real criminal offense. If you do something against the casino's rules, like me, for example, one of their unwritten rules is you can't win. So if you win, they can't arrest you for it, or else I'd be in jail.
Yeah.
So with Dana, you know, they can only say, you got to go, or you have to play like this, or this particular rule, or we're going to change this. But the short of it is, if you break the rules, they'll just throw you out. But if you commit a crime like cheating, you go to prison immediately, first offense.
So counting cards is
not a crime.
Illegal.
Imagine a judge saying to somebody,
yeah, because to me, I'm sitting here like, this is so fucking retarded. Like, this you're just good at this game, right?
Yeah, the judge is going to say, you know what, sir?
Yeah.
You're too good at this game. Yeah. You're going to prison.
Like, at what point would we not, like, kick fucking Tom Brady out of the Super Bowl?
Exactly.
Like, he's really good at this. Like, we can't have that.
Yeah, exactly. So there's laws and there's rules, and the rules are not legally enforceable. And there is like a legal route. Like, there's a whole chain.
So what's
to
the
it,
casino rules around counting cards then? Like, how would you even?
You can't. They say our rule is no card counting. The law says we can't apply that. You want us to arrest someone for being smart? You know, like they're like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, and it's literally the whole game.
Yeah, I agree completely. So the casino says if we catch you like officially card counting, we're going to ban you or restrict you or like limit your ban.
How would you officially catch someone card?
Well,
counting?
there is. So like there's things you can do that's. There's like so how you said the whole game is card counting. There is like a true version of card counting, right? And there's 2 types. There's the true count and the running count.
Yeah. And
if they catch you like operating under the guise of either of those rules versus like perfect by the book blackjack, right? They'll say that's against the rules. That's an official card counter. That's an AP. You have to go. Yeah. There's other people that aren't going by true count or running count, but they're still. It's not exactly counting because I don't want the whoever's listening to this to misunderstand the words. But there's other people that are counting or keeping track of the deck, following it. Where they're saying to themselves, for example,
because everyone would be trying to count the cards.
Yeah, well, counting cards like the +3 to -3 scale is super easy. You can literally go on YouTube, put card counting video, and actually learn truly how to count cards. It's not hard. It's not a secret. It's not illegal. It's none of that. But if you do those things, and they figure it out usually by deviation of like perfect of standard blackjack game, like if you're hitting on random things, staying on random things, like the increase and decrease of betting. They go, that's suspicious. And they have a card counter that works for the casino that goes, I know the count. If I was a card counter, I would do it like this. And then all of a sudden the player does it. They go, oh, he's using the same count I'm using.
Dude, it's so fucked up that like, all right, so yeah, I'm not like a big gambler, right? So like in my head, this is kind of just blowing my mind. It's like, you've got a guy that's getting paid by the casino to count the cards to make sure that the people who are in the casino trying to win the game, who would win by counting the cards, aren't
counting the cards.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
That's exactly
here?
right. No, that's exactly right. But there's other people that like you can like count in some ways where it's not against the rules. Like for example, let's say let's pretend there's 4 hands out, and it's like a face card, face card, face card, face card, face card 6, face card, right? No, I'm sorry. Actually, that's a poor example. Let me just make it vague. If you're looking at the cards and you do something that's deviating from standard blackjack play, because you're just looking at what's on the table and you're like, every 10 is out here. There can't be another one. The dealer does not, so let's say that the dealer has an 8 showing. You're like, the dealer cannot possibly have a 10 under there.
Yes.
It's probably like something lower where they're going to have to hit and hopefully bust. I'm going to stand on my 16 against an 8, you know?
Yes.
That's not really card counting. That's just like being obvious. Like, but if they're playing heads up, for example, and like that one hand, they decrease and they stood and stuff like this, then the card counter that's upstairs is going to say, oh, he's counting cards,
Yeah, it just blows my mind that that's illegal. That's like, oh, this guy's playing the game properly. Like, let's not have that. Like, they just want it to be, I guess they just want it to be like this to face, like literally taking things on their face. Like, you're not keeping a track of it or whatever. Yeah. That seems crazy
They
to
only
me.
want losers.
So, like, allegedly, do you think Dana's doing that? Counting cards?
The first time I met Dana, there was 4 casinos in the city I was allowed in.
Yeah.
And it was like coincidence. So I have a parking space outside the door, right? Like my own parking space, like, right? And it's a VIP entrance. And usually people don't even know about this entrance unless they're like VIP.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I go to back into my spot and Dana's pulling in next to me, right? So we get out at the same time we walk in. And it was actually because of R. Willie that Dana gave me his time. Yeah. Dana had just done something with Ryan. I forget what it was. And I said, hey, Dana, how you doing? My name's Mikki. And, he's famous. So, like, probably he didn't think too much of it. And I go, hey, like, Ryan is one of my closest friends. I know you guys just did. I forget what it was. I was like, you guys just did that thing. That was super cool. And he goes, oh, you know Ryan? And I go, yeah. He stayed at my house last week or whatever.
Yeah. And
he starts talking to me. And I go, I'm in AP also. And I'm banned. I only got four casinos left. He goes, oh, well, I only got 4 left. And I go, which ones you got? And it was the same 4 as me. And we're like, oh, that's funny, And we start talking. He goes, yeah, last summer I won X amount. And then, we start talking like numbers. And we immediately like hit it off. And he goes, put your information in my phone. I put it in and we kept in touch. And fast forward, like let's say that was a couple years ago. Now he and I play together or are around each other. Recently it's been weekly, but whatever. We're like around each other more. And we play blackjack, like whatever, like we'll be with each other. I think when he's playing on the live streams, I want to say so without saying the wrong thing. Hold on. I think when he's playing on the live streams, he's playing at Red Rock, and the owners of Red Rock are his partners that own the UFC with him.
Oh, the Fertitas own that, eh?
Yeah. So I think that they obviously let him in, plus he has really good marketing, plus he live streams, me, Aiden Ross, Steve will do it, everybody else,
I saw you with Drewski too once.
Yeah.
I
Drewski.
fucking love that dude.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, he's a G.
Yeah. So I think that Red Rock, I think the brothers see him as an asset there, whether he's winning or losing.
Whether he's taking, yeah.
And I think he also says to himself, I'm not necessarily here to win.
I'm not going to clean him out.
Yeah, he's like, I'm more here for a good time. We're on live stream. Like we're just here to party. So when I play with him there, I'm watching pretty closely, and I would say he's not card counting, but he is winning. So I would say no, he's not card counting, but yes, he is winning.
And how does one do that? Is that just instinct at that point? I
think a lot of it. I mean,
is it easy to win when you don't give a fuck about money?
I think it's easier to win when you're not scared to make a bet.
Yeah.
Like he'll play super aggressive hands or bets, splits, doubles, things like that, the way I do. And I always found myself to be like a super aggro player. I'm overly aggressive beyond the book. And I think well, that's where your money's made because you're at 48.5% when you play blackjack. So I think when you're the only places to make money, you want to maximize how much you're making. If you're gonna have a winning hand, you want to either bet the most or double down or split, and hopefully split and double.
Yeah.
So whenever I find any opportunity to do it, I'm super aggressive.
Okay, so that's how when you're saying like I'm an aggressive player, I'm trying to think about how you would be, but that makes sense.
I'm very, very eager.
So
to
you're
get
just
as
like
much
looking
money.
for the like, how do I fatten this shit up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if they only let me bet 50K, how do I make the most? Exactly. I actually have a cool photo of that. So I bet 50K in blackjack.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah, maybe. It was pretty heavy on the internet. I bet 50K in double deck. I got dealt 8-8 to a dealer's 4.
And then you split those.
I split the 8s. So now I got 100K out. Another 8 came. I split that. So I got 150K. A fourth 8 came. So I got 200K out. The first card out was a 3, which if you don't know is an automatic double down. Couldn't be any more pristine. There's a rule in this casino, if I split, that I can't double down, which is unfortunate. I'm very eager to get as much money on the table as I can.
You said that like a fucking degenerate, and I love it.
So the 3 comes. So I have 11 against the dealer's 4. I can only take a hit. It's all I'm allowed to do. So I hit. Next one is a 10. The third 8 gets an ace, and my last 8 gets a deuce. And again, I would have paid 2 to 1 to be able to double down. You know what I mean? Like I really want these doubles. It's important. This is where I'm going to maximize my profit. The short of it is the max amount of money they were allowed to let me put there was 200K off a 50K bet. The dealer had the 4 showing, opens a jack, pulls a king, 24, and I scoop. So they pay me 200K. I got 400K on the table. So that 400K came from a singular 50K bet. That's
so sick. That's where like it would be so hard to just stay at the table after that. You know, you just want to be like, I'm out. Right. I fucking love you guys. Peace.
That hand, I went on a $6.2 million run.
Really?
Yeah. So Barstool posted it. They're the ones who took the photo.
I knew I saw that photo.
Yeah. They're the ones that used that photo. Yeah.
And you went on a $6.2 million run after that.
Yeah.
Dude, it's such a crazy. It's such a crazy skill to have, and it's such a weird. It's so fringe. It's like taboo. You know, like you're just ticking all the right boxes to make that kind of money in that kind of way. You know, and I guess like it sort of makes sense when you say like I was the first rock star kind of card player type dude, because it sort of seems like that. You know, like you got to be so reckless in a sense, and you got to be so like there's such an emotional or like it's like a personality type that it fits, like Ricky Carmichael, greatest of all time motocross,
right?
He was that guy. He was gnarly as fuck, wanted it, like all the emotional elements. I feel like it's probably translates to gambling, like to be a real successful gambler, like you've got to have some crazy ingredients when it comes to like your personality that can like let you be that guy and let you make those calls.
I mean, how can you make money gambling if you can't make reckless decisions? The most reckless thing a person can do is go gamble. Like off
yeah, for sure.
Like immediately. And then gamble
at its base level.
At its base,
it's like, what's the most irresponsible thing I could do?
Gamble.
Give my money and hope that I get some back on fucking odds that are stacked against me.
Yeah, knowing the odds are against you. Yeah, exactly. And then to take it to the highest level you can, and then that's not enough. So then you have to negotiate special limits with all the executives in every casino to make it that much higher. Then I'm the top 5% largest bettors in Vegas history. So then I take it even a step further. And then even at those limits, I'm still looking for any way to like get more money on the table, So like to do that, you have to be the most irresponsible and reckless type of person.
Yeah. And you got to have like a weird level of like control over your emotions too.
Yeah, but also, yes, but it's a huge double-edged sword. Like I'm super emotionally detached in a lot of areas that I don't want to be. Like I want to have more emotional connection, but I'm just not. And there's a lot of reasons why, but it just didn't happen like that and whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, so to make those kind of plays, like you've got to be essentially a loose cunt.
Yeah, exactly. But it also did a lot of fun. Like I was reckless in my real life, I like to go fast. I like to make big jumps, that's reckless, like a normal sound person of sound mind would say, I'm going to keep my feet on the ground. I'm not jumping a dirt bike. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the partying and the just all of it, just always living life to the extreme and the most, and like milking every single moment for the most experience. You know?
Yeah. So speaking of that, when are we riding?
We can ride.
Yeah.
You have a bike here?
No, I'm thinking I might buy one tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What are you gonna get? Husky 350.
Well, I've been looking for a 350, but I haven't been able to find one.
I bet you I can find you one right now.
Yeah, dude, I've been looking. I mean, yeah, we'll try. But my friend's actually got a 250 Yamaha for sale that I might just swoop so I can have something to ride. But I've been in Glen Helen, bro. I've been pumping those motos.
Ooh,
I invited you to Glen Helen.
I know.
It was last minute.
Yeah, it was like the night before, and I think I was already out of town that night.
Yeah,
I forget where
it was. It was a little Hail Mary. I was like, I'm seeing if Mickey's rolling out. I was going by myself.
I couldn't make. I wish.
It was fucking hot, bro. It was like 110 out there, and I was cooked.
Yeah,
like did 120 on a 450, and I was fucking done. It's like this is no joke. Imagine doing that shit for a living.
No, it's super gnarly.
So fucking gnarly.
You know what's sick about it? So I just was watching, I still watch every race.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with my boy, he used to ride FMX, and we're just talking, and I go, you understand that they are always riding on the edge of out of control, right? And he goes, I know, it's absolutely insane. Like for me, if I were to like even get close to like a sketchy spot that they're in, I'm immediately off the gas.
Yeah.
I'm taking a deep breath and I'm going, whoa, that was a close one. I should probably calm down. And they're gassing through it.
Yeah.
And they're like on to the next. These guys are constantly on the edge of out of control. It's really unbelievable. And I don't think people who watch it that don't really race, I don't think they'll ever understand.
No, it's very hard to get across. Like it takes real good commentary. Like I think that's why Rogan was so good for MMA. Because, like, I mean, dude's fucking, like, I knew jiu-jitsu before I even fucking did it because of listening to, like, 15 years of Rogan breakdown jiu-jitsu, you know? Like, I went to my first class and, like, knew what the shit was that I was supposed to be doing. And that is really, that's such an art to translate that kind of information to a viewer, you know? So that's, like, a challenge for the sport. But, yeah, you know it because you've lived that shit.
Yeah, I don't think that even if the commentator were to express the series, like when Ricky or James is commentating.
Yeah.
I think, not that they do this, but even if they did, talk about like really like I just watched, what was last weekend's outdoor?
Budds Creek. Or Unadilla.
Unadilla. I was watching Unadilla.
Yeah.
I forget what they call that. They go like drop straight down.
The sky shot?
Sharp left, like a 90-degree left, and right back up the hill.
Yeah.
The camera will never show how fast
steep it is.
Bro, these guys, how steep. These guys are flying down this hill into an immediate 90-degree left turn. Or 180. I'm sorry, it's a 180.
Yeah.
Faster than I would just go on a straight line.
Yeah.
They are speeding up down the hill into a 180 left turn. Like, and there's not even a berm. They're just hitting ruts and just like bro, it's insane.
Yeah. How's the sky shot? So that big jump that floats and then you land, and they were going wide open. And Sexton was saying that he's like, man, I wish they had a speed gun. I'm doing over 70 miles an hour.
You're talking about the one that every 250 rider had cased and gone into it? Like
nah. It's like that real big floater whip jump. The one everyone was doing those big whips off.
Oh, yeah.
And then but they land, and they used to like turn off that. But this year they just went straight.
And then afterwards it was a left.
Yeah.
It's like a little sweeper left. Yeah.
They were just clicking gears off that thing, bro, and just fucking sending it.
And something else too that I don't think viewers really understand how big that jump is.
Dude,
I thought about that too. Bro, that is an enormous jump. That'd be the biggest jump on any track if a jump even that big existed on your local track.
Yeah.
That thing is humongous.
Yeah.
And just everywhere. Just ripping.
So you going to get a bike again, you reckon? Or are you done?
A lot of people like give me their bikes, like loaner bikes. Like that's pretty easy. I mean, I live like in LA, so like I live in a penthouse, so like it'd be hard. I'd have to, if I bought a bike, I'd have to keep it somewhere.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Then get a pickup truck or a trailer. It's like I'd have to get everything. I have to do maintenance. I don't know how to do maintenance. When I was a kid racing, I always had like my dad or like crew chief and mechanic, stuff like that. So I don't know how to do maintenance, and I don't know. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah, it is a whole thing. You need one of them electric bikes.
The Altas?
Nah, it's Stark. Have you seen the new ones?
Uh-uh.
Fuck, they're like the Alta, but 30 times better.
Really? I rode an Alta for a little while.
Yeah, that's the LA bike. I just got one of those, they're called Granger USA pit bikes, and they're like basically a CRF 110, but it's electric.
Really?
Yeah, it's fucking... I actually should have bought it up today so that you could have fucked around on it.
I would have loved to ride that.
Bro, perfect like LA bike. You just cruise around the streets, no noise, no one's going to know. That's probably the bike that you need just to like get you back into the throttle life, you know?
You ride it like on the dirt? You rode it on jumps yet?
No, not yet. No, I literally just flipped it down the road. That's all I've fucking done.
You flipped it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was just doing wheel stands down the road and then I fucking missed the brake and looped her out.
Yeah.
So I've already been through a rear guard. I just got a new 110 as well though, so I'll probably start riding a little bit of that.
Oh, you got a 110 and the electric one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I wasn't planning on getting the electric one, but
I love the pit bikes.
yeah, they're fucking sick.
You know, I raced in Pastrana's pit bike race last year.
Yeah. That's something we gotta get you back, bro. You can ride my bike though.
Let me know. Yeah, I probably couldn't even go a full day.
Have you got gear and shit?
I have most gear. I have helmet, goggle, gloves, boots. I think I got everything. I think I do. The gear is really easy for me to get anyway.
Yeah. What gear did you run back in the day?
Whoever sponsored me.
What was some of the main?
Thor and Fox.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember before sponsorship. Actually, I remember I got, I think it was my first Thor sponsorship. Before that, I was rocking LBZ.
Yeah.
You remember LBZs?
Yeah, dude.
Like the bell bottoms. I think Mike Metzger rocked them.
Yeah,
and I think I believe he was the reason that I thought they were so cool.
Yeah.
I had like bright yellow ones with like silver knee,
I remember
patches.
that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, go over your boots. That's what I wore when I was like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years old.
Dude, that shit's dope.
Yeah, then I went to Thor.
You're kind of LBZ now. You just never really left. You're like rich LA LBZ dude now, basically.
Yeah. I remember when Travis Pastrana, do you remember, I think like every year he like painted a new helmet.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. And I think the first time they like mass produced a TP 199 helmet.
I think I remember the one you're talking about.
It was the swirl one. Like I literally have the picture in my head. I know exactly what the helmet looks like.
Yeah.
It was like almost like a tear in the paint or whatever, but it swirled around.
Yeah.
And Sean Hackley used to wear, I remember Sean Hackley wearing it.
Yeah.
I remember that. That point when his helmet came out, like the season before that one got mass produced, I remember actually the season before that is when the first ever fin was made.
Yes.
The very first one. It was a little mohawk in the back.
Yeah.
And it's like a sticker.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he used to stick the fin on. Yeah, I think Troy Lee did it. Was it a Troy Lee?
You know what? I think it might have been.
Yeah, and everyone stuck the fin on the back of the helmet.
Yeah, and then they got crazy. It was like 2 years later, they did the same thing, but then it also went this way. So it's like this and then sideways.
Yeah.
And I even remember, like, I don't know if you know who Nick McPhee is. We grew up riding together. I think he just went pro and then stopped riding. But I remember he used to get his helmets with the fin like sandblasted into it or whatever, like so it was like a part of the helmet, and that looked really cool. But I remember the year before the TP production helmet came out, I started rocking, well, it was my dad, but custom painted helmets. Yeah. Because I remember thinking when the TP one came out, I was like, oh, I already have like a custom helmet. Like I don't need to, like everybody else, buy the TP one.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember that.
So one thing I've never had is a custom painted helmet.
I did, yeah, I definitely did.
I need that in my life.
It was a serious flex, I got to be honest.
I think my brother was gonna get me one as a wedding present, he said, but I don't think it could have come in time. They're like they take forever to get done, eh? There's this guy in Japan. I wish I could remember his name, but he does like the dopest shit. He does like Taka and all those guys. Like I think he does Jeremy Seawer in Europe, but he's got like awesome style. But I've always wanted one, dude.
They're a cool flex, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, but then you just never want to crash in it. You never.
So you know what Axel and them do? As soon as they get a new helmet, first thing they do is they drop it on the ground.
Yeah, I do the same shit. Yeah. That's just the old superstition, dude. I've crashed. I got a new helmet. I went to Barcelona to do a shoot, and Alpine Star sent me this fresh helmet, and I was fucking hyped on it, dude. It was really nice. Dropped it, did the deal, like straight up, getting that out the way. Fucking lap one, bro. Over the bars, smashed the thing to bits. I was like, are you fucking serious?
Do you want to hear a crazy new helmet story?
Yes.
All right. Back in amateur days, I used to race against Malcom Stewart a lot.
Yeah.
And as kids, I used to dust them. One particular race, I forget what bikes we were on, 50s, 60s. I forget what it was. Whatever. Moto is outdoors. Moto 1 comes. And in Moto 1, I had won the race and Malcom got second. But I remember there was a kid whose throttle got stuck. He didn't know how to stop the bike. And he would just shoot pinned across the track. I don't know ultimately like what he did. Like I don't remember how he got off the bike. I just remember this kid. It was like a thing. His throttle got stuck and he shot the whole track and he didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Moto 2 comes. First lap. I get the whole shot. Malcolm's in second. The kid with the throttle stuck from the first moto, throttle gets stuck again in the second moto. Check this out, bro. It gets crazy. So I'm leading lap 1. We haven't even completed the first lap yet. The kid's throttle gets stuck and he's just shooting across the track again. At this point where he's shooting across is right at the takeoff. It's like a pretty big double. And I'm in the lead. I see him coming, just shooting across the track. I jam the brakes. I roll it. Malcom, who's in second place, jumps it, lands on my head on the landing. The peg caves in the whole side of my helmet. Probably half an inch away from taking off my face. And that was the first time I ever wore that helmet.
Fuck yeah, dude. There's a thing. That's why people drop them, because like there's a whole thing about like the first time you wear a helmet. I've been caught out a bunch of times. I
didn't know that was a thing. I just seen it in one of Axel's videos and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Nah, yeah, that's like the old superstition is like I'm gonna crash this helmet. I'm gonna get the first crash out of the way so that I don't do that right now. But yeah, it didn't work for me the other day in Barcelona. Fucking just straight on my head. Couldn't believe it. And it was like the rockiest, gnarliest dirt too. Just fuck the thing.
You get hurt or no?
Nah, not really.
That's good then.
Nah.
Whatever, buy a new helmet.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even buy that one, so.
Oh yeah, whatever.
But I was just
call Alpine. Let them know.
Yeah, I was just complaining about my nice new shit.
Did we talk about J Law in the first half of this?
Dude, I was literally just about to say I saw him at Loretta's.
Really?
Like 2 weeks ago.
Did he race?
No, he just went there.
So I don't remember what we said in the beginning or not. You know, he was like my riding partner since we were like babies. Yeah. So we grew up to me and J Law. Yeah. And there's a few. There's others also, but like me, you know, he was one of them. And he gave me. I have it in my living room when he won indoors.
Yeah.
He rocked the number 1 plate coming into the next season.
Oh wait.
And he won the first moto of the next season.
Yeah.
So for one race and one race only, J Law had a red number 1 plate.
Yeah.
And he sent it to me. And I have it in my living room. It's like signed to me, whatever.
That's so sick.
Yeah. And he and I keep in touch, like obviously, my dog, you know? And between the first half of this interview and today, he had asked me like 100 times to like get back involved with him in the sport. And he's tagged me. If you go look at his page, like, I don't know how many tags exactly, but if you just like look, it's just like a bunch of like videos with me and just my tag on his videos and stuff, which is really cool. The thing is that he wants me to sponsor him because like 3 years ago, I was begging him to let me sponsor him.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, bro. He's like, I'm not going to waste your money. I want to be honest. This is my circumstance and how my relationship with sponsors are. And he goes, you're not going to be happy with the result, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't want to put him on blast. And if any potential J-Law sponsors are out there, like you should definitely sponsor him. He obviously is going to get the most amount of views. Even if he doesn't win, everybody is going to watch him race.
Yeah.
But probably he's going to win. I mean, he's just too fast, honestly, you know? I think he might be the fastest rider on the face of the earth. And a lot of people would say that.
Yeah, I definitely think he's one of the most talented guys that's ever rode a bike.
Ever.
Like, just so effortless. And when you consider how fucking hard he partied the whole time, you know, so it's like you're holding him, like you're looking at the way that he rides and you're measuring it against these other dudes that are like on top of their game, training, eating, resting, recovering, like, and so like you're like, oh yeah, they're pretty even. Imagine if that guy fucking did half that shit. You're
literally describing Jason Lawrence on his worst day being equally matched with the best rider on his best day.
Yeah.
Bro, if we can get J-Law fine-tuned a little bit, even though he's a little bit older, he'd be like one of the older riders in the class now, but bro, he's just too good.
It was cool to see him at Loretta's.
Yeah, I bet. So he's just chilling.
Yeah, he just came. Do you know Scott Subkovic?
I don't think so.
So he was his agent through his whole career, and yeah, he
he just hit him up and said, "Oh, do you want to come to Loretta's?" And he just hopped the flight and was there for the day. And it was sick, man. We spent a bunch of time hanging out in the morning and watching races, and yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see him there, and like he's fucking into it, you know. Like he even knew all the amateur kids. Like he knew what everyone was doing. He watched practice the day before. You know, I'm like, "Oh, this guy did this yesterday." He's like, "Yeah, no, I know. I watched like the live stream." So yeah, it was just cool, and it was cool to see. It was like not only cool to see him there, but it was also cool to see the reactions of people to him being there. And like there were a couple photos of us that got posted, and like my phone was blowing up with people that were like super, super stoked. And that was like my thing. I mean, I've been in communication with him for a couple years, and I was just like, man, honestly, people miss you. Like, just, you don't have to come back and race. You don't have to come back and win. We don't want nothing from you. Just be fucking cool to have Jason Lawrence at the races, because you were one of the baddest dudes that ever did it, you know?
I wish that he would just have somebody film even his practice, just cruising. I love watching Jason Lawrence videos. I mean, they're just
same, bro.
He's so good.
We should go do a video with him one day. We'll just fly out. I'll film it and fucking just like film him practice. Like just do that. Just go hang.
He's in North Florida, ain't he?
Yeah, he's in Florida now. Yeah.
Like
we could do like Miami,
Panhandle or Gainesville. I think he's in North right now. I think
we could do like Miami, and then Lawrence.
I'm pretty sure I'm like super down. Just so you know.
Yeah,
I'm like pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure I'm super down.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm with this.
Yeah, it'd be sick. Just go film, make a video, do something cool, play some golf.
We can even probably convince him to ride for a few days, and we're riding too.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Which is great
I'll
for
be
us.
taking
I want to ride.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm pretty sure I'm down. Let me think before I overly commit. But
we don't have to make no rash decisions right now. Just throwing it out.
But I'm telling you, I'm 100% or I'm 0%. So if I tell you I'm gonna do it, like I'm looking at flights on the way out of here. I'm texting my assistant. We're working on bikes.
I've got to do some Florida trip pretty soon, so maybe I'll just let you know I'm kind of gonna be there and shit. I think it'd be cool. Just roll up, film. We could ride.
Yeah.
Be a good time.
Yeah.
Find somewhere to gamble.
There's places. That's where I moved from. I lived there. I lived in Miami for 8 years.
I've never been to Miami.
It's cool.
I've been to almost everywhere in America, and I've never been to Miami.
I think you'll have a fun time. It's better as a tourist than it is a resident.
Yeah.
If you live there, you learn that's actually really small. Like everybody's like, oh, we got to go to South Beach. People don't know South Beach is a 1/4 mile long, and it is one road. It's actually one road that goes in one direction each. So it's Collins Avenue, right?
Yeah.
You can say it's 2 lanes if you want, whatever. So imagine every single thing you're witnessing of videos of Miami takes place within 1/4 mile strip, you know?
Yeah.
So it's small, but as a tourist, it has everything you want to have a great time. It's a beautiful area, beautiful beach, beautiful people, things to do, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You're going to have a good time. You should definitely go.
Yeah.
And maybe we will.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll do it. Well, hey, we just completed our podcast.
Okay, so it took 3 months.
It took a few months to get this one done. What a fucking cool circumstance, though. Like, to be honest, I mean, kind of sucks that we lost the first half. I think we covered a lot of what we spoke about anyway. But
I don't remember any.
I went through and did a bit of a checkup just to make sure. But for me, anyway, it's cool as fuck to be sitting here with you.
Yeah,
like
same.
We started it. I was in the US. I was in Oz. Didn't even have a visa to be in the. Like, that's a whole nother fucking thing. But I'm very grateful for my position in life to be back here, doing this with you. And yeah, it's been cool.
I'm super grateful to have met you under these circumstances as well.
Epic, brother. All right, we'll do this again sometime for sure.
I'm around, man.
Definitely.
We are excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com. packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.